Good afternoon and welcome into continuing coverage of the 2014 Fusion Realtors Open here live from Waterloo, Iowa. I'm Mike Flanagan here flying solo in the booth. Jeff Richgels will join me a little bit later during this broadcast along with some other guests. This entire tournament, I have to thank all of the sponsors here. A lot of them go into putting this event on. None other than Storm, the Bowlers Company, the Fusion Realtors, obviously, Inside Bowling, us here at Inside Bowling, and Rydell Chevrolet, P&K Midwest John Deere. The Kingpin Bar and Grill here at Maple Lanes, Budweiser, Bud Light, the Isle Casino, and Waterloo Convention and Visitors Bureau. So a lot of added money in this event. We're here for the B squad, 7 games of qualifying. A squad already in the books. All the information is available down below on your tabs if you're watching live right now. And I'm going to take you out to the lanes for the 2 pairs that I have, lanes 5 and 6 and lanes 13 and 14. Some bowlers in the squad that we have here today. I have a few names circled. Drew Balta, Howie Johnstone, Daniel Lemish, Cameron Smith, Tyler Vokes, Jacob Bedard, Cameron Foster, Nick Pate, Toby Smedley, Brian Banich, Tommy Barnwell, Jonathan Shallow, Steve Taylor, Quentin Bolin, Jeff Coliani, Derek Sapp, Jason Wojnar, Nick Heilman, Megan Jersa, Andy Mills, Matt Masliowicz, Jox Kahn, Darren Stanley, Spencer Worthman, Dave Axon, Rick Miller, Alan Chauvin, Jerry Sikora, Tim Barrett, Shea Bittenbender, Casey Murphy on this squad, Kevin Williams, Matt Kruger, Matt Porter, Rob Warren, TJ York, Glenn Jensen, Jasmine Lagerman, Tim Schmidt, Mike Snell, Dan Chambers, Brandon Hanson, Tony Oliva, Greg Thomas, Chris Cooper, Scott Erickson, Brent Ritchie, Kevin Thompson, Scott Christensen, Andy Laux, Todd Morrison, Jeremy Smith, Jason Hale, Brian Perney, Mark Reslin, Ryan Yanell, and rounding out our squad, Dave Barris, Lenny Borish, Ken Duffield, Sean Rangel. So those are the bowlers on this particular squad, and the bowlers that I have circled on my list that I predict will make the cut from this squad: Drew Balta, Dan Lemish, Cameron Foster, Derek Sapp, Jason Wojnar, Nick Heilman, Rick Miller, Tim Barrett, Shea Bittenbender, Casey Murphy, Kevin Williams, TJ York, Greg Thomas, Dave Barris, Lenny Borish, Ken Duffield, and Sean Rangels, who I predict will make the cut from this squad. I was walking around watching the players' ball reaction, and some of the boomers were throwing the ball past the break point. So it'll be interesting to see if people can stay right long enough and then chase in, and scores should be very, very high. If you go back and you look at the scores from the last squad, after 7 games on A squad, your leader is Jason Rook at plus 242 for 7 games. That's just a tad over 235, I believe, if I did that right. Scott Rains is in second at plus 237, Troy Fuller at 225, Mike Peters at 209, Darren Galbraith at 202. That's your top 5. 20th position, plus 66, Jeff Richgels. But he is 35 pins behind 19th place, which was plus 101, Shannon Buchan. And on that particular squad, there were only 53 bowlers, 60 bowlers on each of the other squads. So I predict it's going to take more than 66 to make it in, but we shall wait and see, depending on how these players break the lanes down. A lot of good bowlers coming up, B and C squad. That is for sure. So we continue to watch game number 1 just underway, 2014 Fusion Realtors Open. B squad qualifying. On the left side of your screen on lanes 5 and 6, you got Brian Banich, Tommy Barnwell, Jonathan Shallow, and Steve Taylor. And over on lanes 13 and 14, Dave Axon, Rick Miller, Alan Chauvin, and Jerry Sikora. The skip procedure on this squad's a little bit different than the first squad. They're going to move one pair to the right, and then skip 2, skip 1, skip 2, skip 1, skip 2. The last squad was move 1, then skip 1, skip 2, and this time it's skip 2, skip 1. So a lot of bowlers moving around, and we will keep an eye on what's happening. I'll also be roaming around. There's a few players that are already here that will join me in the booth. Rob Gotel just arrived as well, and we promised that we would sit down and talk to him sometime during this squad about his new endeavors that he has going on. He's taking a position in bowling. Looking forward to talking to him and sharing that story with all of you. 7-game qualifying block just after the hour here in Waterloo. Just after 2. So early on game number 1, joined now by a bowler that bowled the first squad, sits 20th position right now, plus 66.
Can't believe that. Well, I'm not making it. It's going to be somewhere between 20th and 19th on our squad.
Jeff, how we doing, buddy?
Great. I would say 101 is probably, I said 75 to 100 when we were in the third game, and I'm going to stand by that. Unless these last 2 squads, everybody starts way deep or something and really trashes the shot. But this sure played soft for a 2.3 to 1. I cannot believe the scores are that high. Sorry.
Yep, pretty high, that's for sure.
I was shocked. The way I played them the first couple games was completely wrong, but it was based on an expectation of a scoring level that I quickly realized was totally off base.
I was watching lanes 15 and 16, Jeff. I walked around and watched practice after watching that first squad. And I watched the pair of Tim Barrett, Casey Murphy, Shea Bittenbender, and Kevin Williams. 4 games I'm very familiar with, and I wanted to see how the lanes were playing compared to what I thought how people should start. And I watched all 4 of them throwing the ball past the break point. All of them. Ball speed was very high, lower end equipment to mid-level equipment. And I was talking with Shea, and he went to a Marvel S and moved like 5 right, kept his ball speed firm, and was getting to the pocket pretty good. But Barrett kept throwing the ball past the break. Kevin Williams left a 7-9, and he's a 2-handed lefty, so that's like an 8-10 for a right-hander. I just watched him miss the head pin to the left for a strike, actually. He pinged the 2-4 for 4 in a row, actually. So I'm sure he's probably been hitting the pocket otherwise. But I think with the pattern as it continues to get laid down, there's going to be more conditioner down the lane.
Sure.
So they're going to play tighter down lane. I don't think your 66 is going to be enough. but I also don't think the 101 number is going to be accurate either. It's going to be somewhere in there, probably around 85 or 90.
Well, I'd agree with you. I said when we got done and I was at 66, I said the only way that I make this is if laying the pattern down twice more, they get a little fuzzy, a little less defined. And, you know, that happens. At bold enough years, I've seen everything happen. Yeah, sometimes they get easier, sometimes they get tougher. But usually, the more times you lay down a flatter pattern, they get a little tougher, especially in the same day. So it wouldn't surprise me, but I still don't, even if they are a little tougher, I think these last two squads are stronger than the first squad, too, by quite a bit. So I think those two things will kind of cancel each other off, and I still think it'll be somewhere 75 to 100.
I circled 17 names on our squad list here of bowlers that I thought would make it, and I basically shared that with the fans at home, and that's our squad list. And you're right, it is a really solid field here.
Well, you got one guy that you should have put down that you didn't circle, and that's Andy Mills. He'll make it. And I don't know, I didn't really have any lefties around me. How does the left side look? Did you see anybody in the first squad?
Yeah, I didn't really see, you know, a whole lot of lefties doing all that well. You know, Rick Miller is someone I'm going to keep an eye on. He's right here on our featured pair on 13 and 14.
Oh, okay.
You know, Rick, I believe, started with open, double, open.
Because if the left side's a little softer, there's a couple other names here that I would certainly look at. I mean, you got Rick Circle, but we have a senior guy, Jerry Sikora, bowls some PBA 50 events, senior guy up from Wisconsin, who at times is very good when he can go pretty straight up the left side. He keeps it in play.
You know, I like analyzing, and you know, you said to circle Andy Mills and a few other people that will for sure make it. I just, for some reason, I just could not bring myself to circle Andy and a couple of these other guys. So, well, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
And we got a kid, young guy who's my teammate in league from Madison, who's having a phenomenal year, Brent Ritchie. And he's still a little erratic on spares, but his strike ball, he has improved so much. If he can find a look to get to the pocket and does okay on spares, boy, he could shoot. I could see him shooting 200 over. He's shot a couple. We're bowling on the flat pattern, the U.S. Open pattern, this round in league, and he's had a couple of solid 660 and a 640 on that. And I mean, my high this whole round 620. So there's a name kind of to watch that no one probably knows out there.
How about Don Breeden on the first squad, only going 43 over? And how about?
Well, he doesn't hook it. I mean, were there any? How many straight guys? Was John the high, pretty straight guy on our squad?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know how some of these guys throw the ball necessarily. Rob Amers doesn't hook it a whole lot.
Oh yeah, he does. He's a wind-up. Give me a break.
That's slow ball speed.
But he's hooking. He's always standing left and hooking it.
Well,
come on. Where is he? If he comes around, I'll tell him he's a nozzle.
7th.
And he can strike a ton when he gets going.
Here's the one that's interesting to me. Dwayne Kiltz ran away with this tournament, was leading the tournament by quite a bit last year. Finished 24th in qualifying today.
I just want to tell you something. I crossed with Dwayne, or next to Dwayne in I bowled with Tommy Hess in the Gibba doubles, Greater Iowa doubles, a couple weeks ago. Dwayne is a guy that has just been a machine with storm equipment for a few years. He's on Ebonite now, and I'm not criticizing Ebonite equipment here. What I'm saying is that he's made a change, and I don't think he's quite used to it yet, because you know different companies roll different ways. And I mean, obviously, I'm a storm guy. I believe storm and roto's better, but I think that he's in a cycle here where that whole day I watched him bowl, he hit the pocket all day long. His ball just wasn't going through the pins the same, and there's an adjustment period. I think, and figure out which balls work the best for you and how to drill them, and I think that's probably a lot of what Dwayne's got going on there.
Dave Gerst and Jeff Roush, I'm told here in the chat, are much straighter players.
Really? Okay.
8th and 9th.
Well, good for them. Because, boy, the way that started out, there was some guys that hooked quite a bit around me were just buzzing it. I could not believe. Messashir, I don't ever pronounce his name right. John,
Yeah.
he fell off a little bit the last couple games, but man, he had it going with a zero gravity. It was absolutely awesome. The look he had. He was just basically going between 10 and 15 out to around 5 and banking it back. And this was the easiest, softest 2.3 to 1 pattern I've ever bowled on that wasn't like cheetah. For that ratio to play this wide open was just astonishing to me.
So at the USBC Masters today, we've got a match getting ready to take place, or has started taking place, between 4 bowlers.
Yeah, EJ Tackett's top seed and Haugen's second, correct?
Yep.
Okay, I got that right.
So out of these 4 bowlers, 1 is not going to make it, and they're going to get seeded 3, 4, and 5.
Yep.
So you got Belmo, Dom, Simonelli, and Smallwood, and that's the order in which I think they will be on the show. Belmo will be the 3 seed, Dom will be the 4 seed, Simonelli will be the 5 seed, and Smallwood will not make the show. That's my opinion. Your opinion?
How the heck do you know that? You don't know the pair they're bowling on and the look they may have had on it. And are they bowling on fresh for this match? We don't know anything.
That's my opinion.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't even. You can't make an educated guess unless you tell me what if they're bowling on. If they're bowling on fresh. I like Smallwood on fresh because he's got that, full roller, heavy roll. But, and Dom too is pretty hard on it. But, I mean, he can't. How could you go against Belmo? Well, that's a hell of a foursome to.
Yeah, it is.
So whoever doesn't make it out of that, that's a tough 6th place finish.
My reasoning behind it is personally, I feel like Belmo and Dom are number 1 and number 2 in the world right now.
I think you could make that case.
And I think Wes Malot's number 3 in the world right now.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Just being recently removed from visiting and being at the Tournament of Champions all week. So that's that. And I listened to Simonelli in the booth this week talking about how he wasn't very sharp coming into the week, but his legs kept getting under him better and better and better. And if you look at his scores that he bowled, and he was pretty much all by himself on that side of the lane going from pair to pair. I looked at the scores that he was able to shoot, and I just feel like with less transition on his side of the lane that he'll sneak in there. So the net leaves Smallwood, and I can't make an argument against those other. I cannot make a better argument for Smallwood than I can the other 3 guys, just based off of what I've heard and what I've seen.
Al, 1-game match too. Who the heck?
No, it's 3 games total pins.
Oh, really? It's not 1 game, it's 3. Oh, that's interesting. Well, then I sure as heck would not bet against Belmo because he's going to be able to figure something out.
And then Dom.
Yeah, and the way, okay.
And then I like Simonelli over on by his lonesome.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean that Smallwood isn't the 3 seed and blows them all out by 100.
Yep.
But if that's my prediction.
I forgot that was the 3 games. That's right. You're right.
On the same pair together.
I think that's an interesting way to do that format. I think
it is.
I think that's something that USBC, one different thing that they did that I like as to deciding those last 3 spots. I find that to be very interesting and quite a neat way to do it.
Well, let's face it, you love the USBC and everything they do in all of your blogs.
Yeah. People forget, and there's USBC people that think that I'm totally unfair against them.
Yeah, isn't that hilarious? I just remember seeing a recent thing on Facebook in the last day where someone was bad-mouthing the new El Paso changes with the payment schedule for squad times. And someone put in there, I can't wait to see how Jeff R. puts a positive spin on this.
Because it's something I've been writing for I can't even tell you how many years. And we were talking about this, 20 years ago, we were talking about this sort of thing and saying, how in the heck do they not charge more to bowl weekends than midweek? I said, because it's the same thing. When you go to the movie theater, which is what I wrote on Facebook, and I've got a blog almost done. I got a couple questions in, so I'll probably post next week. But if you go to the movie theater, you go Monday afternoon at 2 in the afternoon, you don't pay what you pay on Friday night at 7 o'clock or Saturday night. If you go play golf on Saturday morning versus Wednesday afternoon, you don't pay the same price. There's almost no business out there that doesn't have some sort of premium type of pricing. Or let's say you want to go to a football game at a stadium. You think you pay the same for a 50-yard line seat as an end zone seat? I mean, this is just common sense business practice, and I've been criticizing the USBC for being so backward in not adopting this practice. So that's where I was critical. They just finally got a clue.
Our fans in the chat here say that currently right now at the Masters, they're on lanes 35 and 36 on fresh, and right now Belmo has a bad look.
Well, if they're bowling 3 games, though, that look will change.
2-0, 270, 300.
Yeah. How amazing is what he's doing. I just, like I wrote today, the last 8 majors he's bowled for the title 7 times and finished 8th in the other one. And now he might make this show and possibly bowl for the title again. It's just amazing.
His speed control and his ability to post shots.
It's 100 times better than it was when he first bowled tour stops.
Yeah, it's just phenomenal.
He used to come off the shot so much or so often compared to what he does now. Now you almost never see him come off a shot at the line. And his head is so steady through the approach. I mean, all the things that you watch, you know, the best technicians like Barnes and Duke, he does it with the two-handed power.
Let's get a look at Rick Miller here on lane 13. So, Jeff, you're a betting guy. Open double.
Split,
Spare,
but he made the spare.
Made a
Or made the
split, double.
Yep.
So what's he going to do on the next shot?
Well, he's Rick. He's pretty good. He ain't split. He's a good guy. I bowled the 50-50 doubles with him this year.
It's going to be interesting to see.
You know, I'm watching just the pairs in front of us here, and just my perception is that they don't look as nice as they were for us. But yet I look a couple pairs around to the left, which is actually down where I started, and there's some huge strings everywhere. So I'm thinking maybe 9 and 10 is not necessarily a very nice pair. The Andy's on this and Nick. Andy. I catted him.
Yeah, he's got 161 in the ninth. And his name is not circled on my list.
Yeah, well, I catted him because I said it should be. Sorry, Andy.
Oh, man. Andy's a tremendous talent.
There is no one in the world that strikes like Andy. I call him House Shot Helen. He had like 12 or 13 800s last year in league. And I always kid him and call him House Shot Helen. He's the king of the league score fig jam on Facebook.
Looks like Shea Bittenbender's got 257 going into the 10th frame. Down on 15 and 16.
So is your tournament still last weekend, April, St. Louis?
Yep. Yep, got to get those details out. I'm just waiting. When you add more sponsors, you got to get them to sign off on everything.
Ah, okay.
Yep, 10,000 for first this year.
Yowza. Well, you're going to draw more and more big. I mean, you already do. Bill O'Neill and that are there, but you're going to draw even more.
I personally think this year we're going to have less big names.
Why is that? They don't have anything to bowl except regionals.
There's
or
something
overseas.
there's something
Oh,
overseas. Okay. Del Ballard can't make it because he's going to be assisting overseas.
All right.
Mike Fagan scheduled a youth scholarship tournament that weekend. Pete, Randy, all those guys are not eligible to bowl because there's a PBA 50 national tour stop at George Pappas's place.
That's right.
Yeah, so I'm, I don't know. I don't know who's gonna. I don't know yet. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Interesting. Well, that's the USBC Hall of Fame inductions.
It is
our Thursday night of that week.
Yep.
So Susie Fever and I are flying out Wednesday night to Reno, flying home Friday, but we're doing some work for Storm. Steve Richter in Sheboygan is having a clinic tournament, Storm matchmaker type something. I don't know all the details, but he asked me to come up. So getting off the plane Friday, late in the day, going straight up to Sheboygan and spending Saturday up there helping him out.
So Rick Miller, first shot in the 10th, did not split. He struck.
I didn't cat him. I called him once after I think he won a high roller or something out in Vegas, and I called him the best bowler no one knows. Ken Duffield just told me that John Burkett's going to come on. I guess, does he mean the chat room?
I have no idea.
So if we see anything Burkett on there, or if you're out there listening, John, now if people remember he was the very excellent Major League Baseball pitcher who also was a great bowler.
Well, the interesting about John Burkett is he's been in our chat before because I've spoken directly to him on the web chat.
Yeah.
Because my favorite baseball player of all time is Will Clark.
They were teammates.
And he played with Will Clark.
Yep. Yeah, John, Kenny met him when out in Arizona when Kenny used to live there, so he knows him pretty well. And John, he said he talked to him today for a little while, and he was going to come in the chat room today.
Oh, cool. Excellent.
I think that's what he meant. He said when he comes on, I don't think he's here.
Yeah.
So I assume he meant the chat room.
Yeah, I was a big Giants fan during that time. You know, when you're a kid, there's a certain age where you really start paying attention to sports, and it was during that San Francisco series with the earthquake, and I watched a lot of playoff baseball at that time. The Cubs were really good at that time as well. Mark Grace, Ryan Sandberg. And I remember John Burkett.
Now he had the one year he had 24 wins. I remember it was like 24-8. He had several really good years.
I need those guys to stop messing around with that tripod table and setting all their drinks down there. Brian, you think you can get on that?
That's Zach, the owner, but that's okay. We can yell at Zach.
Yeah.
And it's Rob the Knuckler Amers.
Yeah, I know. And
do you?
I just saw I talk about the San Francisco Bay Series earthquake, and the whole right camera was just shaking.
There
galore.
we go. I will never forget that night. I was sitting there watching it when it happened. Yeesh. And I went straight into the newspaper because I wanted to. That was back before the internet days. I went straight in and started reading the AP wire stories as they were breaking because I was so in need of information. Got something very interesting today from one of our storm staffers. One of the more fascinating Facebook posts you will ever read. Ryan Schaefer. So, folks, if you want to read a real interesting status, Ryan Schaefer had one today on Facebook. I just saw it when I was out at lunch. And one of the most intelligent and most thoughtful guys on tour, and sort of an older guy who's seeing the game kind of, I don't know, passing by is right, but you just have to read what he has to say. It's very interesting. I agree with him 100% and posted that on there. He's quite a thoughtful guy, and I think he hit a lot of things on the head, nailed a lot of things on the head there. Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, it was interesting. He said that bowling against Alex Aguiar, he figured this out.
Yep.
He didn't figure it out bowling against Belmo or any of these other guys. He figured it out against Alex Aguiar.
I don't think he figured it out right in that very moment. I mean, it built up to there. But, yeah, I did find that funny, too.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
We're talking about a guy that just won the TAT.
Yep. Well,
Not, you know.
That's a good point. I hadn't really quite considered that. I was just thinking of Bill. But I agreed 100% with what I mean. That's.
Don't you think Schaefer was probably saying, hey, look, this guy's ball reaction is better than mine, and he's more or less an amateur?
Well.
And it gets to you when you see, wow, this guy, I wish I had this guy's ball roll.
Yeah, I think it wasn't really personal about Alex. I think it was just that, gol darn, I learned the game this way and it worked great, and now it doesn't work anymore, and now you got to do this. And also that he's almost 50. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm going to be 52 this year. Today was a perfect example for me. I'm about a certain tilt and 50 revs short, or I'm another 100 pins. You saw how many week 9 counts I had. And that's what happens. You get old.
Yeah, hey, just update down here. Tim Barrett, 201. Shea Bitbender, 246. Casey Murphy opens up with 280. And Kevin Williams, 250, it looks like, if I'm reading this. No, 230 maybe? 230.
Well, I think the problems we're seeing on 9 and 10 in front of us then are just pretty much because it's a tricky pair, because there obviously are a lot of strikes going elsewhere.
Action resumes. Take you back out to some live action. 5 and 6, 13 and 14. Cameron Foster on lane 5 from Utah. 2 other Utahns will be joining us later today. Clay Reese and Chuck Grote, bowled this event last year as well.
That's a long commute.
Yeah, but when there's that much added money,
Yep.
they're here. They're diehards.
You see who was here today, too, the birthday boy from a few days ago.
Who's that?
Lenny Borish Sr., 80 years old.
Really?
Yes, he does not get out to too many tournaments anymore. I mean, he's 80. But he's here this weekend. I talked to him a little this morning. I owe him a beer, but he disappeared when I offered to buy it for him. So I'll catch him later. He's watching Lenny, his son, who's down on 1 and 2, I think. So Senior's around here somewhere. You should get him in here, but you would need he said you'd need a bleeper. Or Lenny said you'd need a bleeper if we were going to put Senior in here. But he'd be funny.
I will tell you, I've gotten cranky in my older age with live streaming. The less babysitting I have to do, the better.
Well, then you don't want Senior out here.
Especially when I have to answer to people about all this stuff now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I logged on to your webcast for 5 minutes, and it just happened to be the 5 minutes that I heard this. We need to sit down and have a conversation, Mr. Flanagan. One thing I noticed that Joe does, he lets you bowl with people you want to bowl with.
Yeah, what do you think of that?
I think for an event like this, I think it's good. I think it's fine as long as everyone can do it.
Yeah, one of the things that you get here with Joe is that he runs these tournaments for the bowlers because he's a bowler himself. Still good at, super senior status. And he tries to do things to make the tournaments have as much fairness and integrity, but still allow everybody to have fun and in areas that don't compromise that integrity. And letting people bowl with their friends, to me, I have no problem with it, because the one thing he helps do is he lets everybody do it, and he alters the skipping so there's no way. I mean, you're up on your pairs. Those are assigned beforehand, but you random draw which pair you guys are going to be on, and everyone is random drawn. And then our cross is not always following the same guys. It's, move 1, skip 2. It alters each game, so you're not always following the same guys. So, who you bowl with, if it makes the day be more fun, however you bowl, I got no problem with that at all.
Yeah, and the reason why I threw in that little tidbit is over here on lanes 9 and 10, I've moved our booth cam. None other than Derek Sapp, who won the first Fusion Realtors that we came in the webcast, that he bowled 300 in the final and went Brooklyn on the last ball.
Oh, yeah. They were brutal that year, if I recall.
That was at Cadillac.
Yeah, they were hard that year.
And so he's bowling with Poliani and Jason Wojnar.
And Quentin, right? Is Quentin on this pair too, bowling? I noticed Sapp started 8-10, 8-10, I believe, breaking up 2 8-10s, not 8-10s like the kind I leave.
Yeah, Quentin Bolin is on that pair.
Here's a shot of Sapp up front here. Wow. Light 2-8, light 8-10, light 8-10, light 2-pin. Looks like this pair's got a little wiggle or hang to it, which I discovered in the game I bowled on it. One of the reasons also I found out for the scores being a little higher this year here, or the pattern playing a little easier than you'd expect for 2.3 to 1 is Maple Lanes here. They've done a lot since the new owners bought it. I think it was 2 years ago now. They have all brand new heads. You can kind of see the splice from here. I didn't notice that today, but a couple guys told me after I was talking about the pattern. They said, yeah, brand new heads. And certainly the ball got down the lane so much better than it has other years here. So there's an example of a little better surface helping things out. Another shot. Oh, we got the light mixer there, Coliani, but it didn't want to turn the corner like obviously they must have seen on their last pair. Oh, we got some scores here from the Masters. Smallwood 256, Simonelli 234, Barrett 217, Belmo 174.
Really?
Whoops, you got the right order, just upside down.
Through one game.
One game, yep. They got 2 more games to go. Whoever said Belmo didn't have a good look was not kidding, though.
I did have the right order, but upside down.
Okay, now somebody there, JDA 1965, posting Southern Missouri Bowlers Tour next Saturday at Redbird.
Yeah, that's Jerry Anderson.
Yep. Oh, that is Jerry. Okay, Jerry. What's the format going to be? I'm planning to come down there, visit my St. Louis peeps, do a little fevering at Lumiere and Hollywood maybe, and I haven't seen any format or anything yet. I know it's house shot one lane, short pattern on the other. Is it 1 day, 2 day? Eight games cut, bowl 4 more 1 day. Okay, thank you. I heard some disturbing talk about a big snowstorm in the Midwest next weekend, though, unfortunately. So as long as that doesn't happen, come down and visit St. Louis next weekend.
Should have scores after the first game here shortly. Takes them a little bit to get going on the first one, but after that we should be good.
PM start. Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, hey, Jerry, why don't you send all the details over in a Facebook message so it's not going to come in bit by piece by piece by piece. And get intertwined and mixed in with a whole bunch of other people's messages. I'm just saying.
You realize you're going to have a late night here tonight. What time did this squad start? Were they close to 1:30?
Yeah, 1:30.
Oh, okay. Then they're not bad off. Still, you'll be at 10 o'clock. That's not so bad, probably.
Yeah, like 10.
For me, that's like 3 hours past bedtime. Yeah, there's lots of strike strings around here. Definitely more rev rate on this squad overall. That's the one wild card. Seeing how the lanes transition with more guys that hit it a lot more. Sapp finally moved. That looks like my 5th game. think it was. Light. Ended up moving 6 and 4 and through 6 of the last 7 for 2-teen.
6 and 4 in what direction?
To the right. I did move. I couldn't. That pair was unbelievable. 19 and 20, I think that was. I had 2-pin combinations the first 4 or 5 frames, I think, and I was moving pretty much each shot. And I ended up 6 and 4 right and 5 and 3 right, and then through 6 of the last 7 to get 2-teen out of it. It's like, holy mackerel, was that pair ever nuts. So are you guys still the Sunday, Monday in Reno?
Yep.
Well, just a hint here. The preliminary discussion amongst our team members was if we want to be cheap and save a little money with the tiered pricing, we were looking at that Sunday, Monday
Oh, really?
as a change instead of Friday, Saturday. But I don't think, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's $15 a man.
Yeah, why? Yeah.
I mean,
I wouldn't mess with it if I were you guys. I mean, we're talking about like 1.5 brackets a piece or something.
yeah, that's the thing. It's like we like that date. We don't get any action on our squad because people have self-selected pretty much to not be on that squad. But it's a good group of people to bowl with.
If you guys really wanted to do it for lucrative reasons, I would just all file for name changes.
Oh, well, or we just don't tell people when we're bowling and all the people that ask, but
Yeah.
that's not why we go. And heck, I mean, how old do we got to get before people have this, you know, if they watched us bowl last year, they shouldn't be intimidated in any way by us.
Tell you what, you're seeing a lot of two-handed styles these days in bowling. Saw a two-handed shot over on 13 and 14.
Well, if I was young or had a kid and wanted to teach him, I would want him to learn both ways. But I would want him to learn two-handed because I think there are times when it is a big advantage because you can't get that rub right one-handed. Maybe a few people can, but not many. But it's not such an advantage that two-handed bowlers, I mean, if it was, Belmo wouldn't be the only guy that's that good. And Asku's close, but he's not anywhere near dominant category. And other than him, what do you have? You have, you know, Brian Valenta's pretty good, bowls some, but I mean, those are the only two guys that have won PBA Tour titles two-handed. And, you know, I see a lot of the, you know, you look around here, I see some decent games two-handed, but there's a lot of negatives to being two-handed because, especially on the fresh, boy, you're got to go so far in and out. If a pattern's not easy, you're controlling your ball reaction is difficult. I don't think that it's, you know, so dramatic that it's an obvious thing that you have to do over one-handed if you're young. I would want to learn to do both because I think there's a lot of times it's so hard to master that it's just hard to get to the level where you're accurate enough and consistent enough with two hands to be a tour champ or be a great bowler. I don't think it's anywhere near as big an advantage as a lot of people seem to think it is. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, Barnes is pretty amazing.
So our two-hander that's going to be coming up here keeps his thumb in the ball. I guess partial thumb. Or maybe it's all the way in. But he delivers.
Valenta has his thumb in the ball. Not all the way, though, I don't believe. But he has his thumb in the ball.
So let's full screen it here. Blue shirt.
Oh, yeah. I bowled with and around this guy. I apologize. His name's escaping me for the moment.
Well, he's bowling with Darren Stanley, so we can. Jacques?
Yeah.
Or
no, that's the
Spencer?
young guy. It must be Spencer then, because Jacques is a smaller guy.
Erin McCarthy's here in the building. She's a great bowler.
She's got an awesome ball roll.
Yeah.
Where did I saw her on a couple years ago, the first time on one of the college shows, I was like, whoa.
She's awesome.
She throws the ball fantastic. I believe that what I'd heard was Joe had said that Rob Gotel was flying from the Masters, from Jersey, or whatever New York airport it was, maybe Newark, I don't know, to Des Moines, and Aaron was picking him up to get here today. That's
Cameron Foster drove all the way to Minnesota to get Chuck Grote and Clay Reese with travel problems last night.
Oh, yeah, they just had the interstate closed, I heard, with 20-foot drifts or whatever it was. That was a nasty storm. We got very lucky in Madison. We just got the hurricane winds and a little bit of ice and sleet. But, man, they had 18 inches of snow up there. Ugh. It's been a long winter. Yeah, that's Spencer Worthman. That's right.
So Coliani here had 6 in a row. Move the camera over to him, and he leaves a 5-pin.
Cat. Oh, you're telling you Belmo had the front 5 the second game.
What's up?
So I'm going to be in Reno next week for 4 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Back home on Sunday for beginning of the booth and opening ceremonies and all that good stuff. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that's already come around.
It really is. And with being involved with Storm and being part of the, merchandising the booth and stuff, it's definitely different thinking about it from when it starts instead of when I go in May. Normally it's not even on the radar screen until then.
Well, way back in the old days, we bowled in early March.
Did you really?
Yeah, the year we won the team event in 1986 in Vegas, we bowled the first weekend of March. We used to bowl, I can't remember if we bowled, it was with Rich Wonders' group. I think we bowled, I want to say we might have bowled Saturday, Sunday, or maybe it was Friday, Saturday. Or maybe it was Thursday, Friday. I'm not. We used to bowl around the early March, though, because back then, every year you went there, you bowled the second squad, and you started out between third and fourth arrow, and it was the same thing every year. There were no lane patterns, there weren't anything.
Belmo still got 279 left, it looks like. Through 8.
Dom's throwing a Goldie, huh?
Yeah, we're watching Extra Frame on my cell phone, everybody at home, trying to pay attention to the Masters as we continue to bring you this continuing coverage of game number 2 of the 2014 Fusion Realtors Open. It's the B Squad qualifying. USBC Hall of Famer, my friend Jeff Richgels from 11thframe.com in the booth with myself. And in just a little bit, Rob Gottschall is also going to join us. Talk a little bit about his new endeavors. Standings are up, just updated less than a minute ago on InsideBowling.com underneath the event information tab. And Casey Murphy bowled 280, Mark Porter bowled 279, Jason Wojnar 255, Shea Bender 246, Jonathan Shallow 246, and Jeff Coliani 246. So 10th place was Jacques Cohn at plus 42. 20th position, Derek Sapp at plus 16 through game 1 of B Squad.
And I see Wojnar at 250 the first game. He's got 280 going to the 10th this game. Former exempt player out on tour.
He and Buchan, they were exempt around the same time, weren't they?
Yep, I believe so. I crossed next to Shannon today.
He always gets animated.
Yeah, he's fun to pick on, fun to bowl with. He's a good guy.
Yes, he is.
he asked me once today, kind of looked at me, hey, can I go? I said, Shannon, we're in Waterloo. You can go whenever you want. This is handy having we've got the extra frame up here watching the Masters while we got the Fusion right in front of us.
It's so good to see you.
All right, we got Wojnar directly in front of us here coming up in the 10th. Got a chance to go off the sheet for a 280 after a 250 the first game. Yeah, my 66 not going to be bowling tomorrow. It's all right. I'll stay out later tonight.
We'll take you over to Wojnar now. Said he was working on 280. Now up front and center on your screen.
Oh, Cat. He's got a little bit of the kind of thing I felt a little bit today too. I just noticed him pointing it next. Some of us are so used to bowling PBA stuff, you always know when it's your turn and when the other guys are going to go. And when you bowl something like this, it's disconcerting sometimes because you're waiting, you have to look at each other, and there's not this set thing that says, okay, it's your turn, it's your turn, it's your turn, it's your turn. And that's not anything against anybody else. It's just it's not the formula where you always know when it's your turn and when it's the other guy's turn. And sometimes that can really throw you off, and I think that got Jason there. They went back and forth about whose turn it was. There's Belmo.
So he can shoot 258, Wojnar, which is a great start for him. Koliani, 236 in the clubhouse. Take you back over to our split screens. Go back to 5 and 6, 13 and 14. Looks like down on 5 and 6, 229, 217. Looks like a game in the 180s here, and possible 247 on lane 6. See a lot of those green and black Rotogrip shirts, those jerseys. See those everywhere I go. Mike Peters is wearing one today, and lane 6, this guy here, also throwing one.
That's Jake Bedard, good bowler from this area. Would not be surprised to see him make this at all. I think his game fits this pattern quite well.
So yeah, 240 there, and 13 and 14. Looks like 126, 244, 236, and a possible 192.
All right, Derek's getting lined up here after a tough start. Salvaging a deuce, maybe 214, I think, if he goes off the sheet.
So wrapping up game number 2. Your standings are up after game number 1 down below on your event information tab. And Jeff, we talked about having another guest join us, and he's obviously been part of our broadcast many, many times in the past. He's got his wireless mic all ready to go, and he was actually palm reading here the last time we were here last year.
My hero.
He now joins us here.
Team USA, man.
In the booth. Yeah, he's now a member of Team USA, and this guy's got more going on in bowling than I do right now, which says a lot. And Rob Gotel joins us now. Hi, Rob.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing good, buddy. So you made the trek in. You've already bowled another tournament this week. Happened to be in New Jersey. Why did you decide to all of a sudden get in the car, fly around, do whatever you need to do, and come bowl this one again?
Well, I mean, I love bowling the greater Iowa stuff. Joe Engelkist and his crew up here, run fabulous tournaments every time we're up here. So when I decided to go to the Masters, I made sure I booked 2 different flights to come home, just in case,
What a diehard.
I mean, I don't mind sitting around watching match play, but, I fell just a little short of making match play this week. Got a check, but so I took the flight out this morning at 6:20 a.m. and flew into Des Moines, and somebody picked me up on the way up here to Waterloo so I could bowl tonight.
Well, hey, congrats on Team USA.
Thanks, Jeff.
Welcome to the club.
Thank you.
What do you-
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the club. I didn't even put that together.
I did that. I got a couple of pieces of gold in my house.
You know, I forget about that stuff.
well,
You're
that's
so
because it was
old.
probably before you were born.
Right.
1985. That was eons ago.
I was 8.
Yes.
So, Rob, take us through this magical week at Team USA trials. I know you went out and you bowled it. You wanted to represent our country, and you fell short on the guaranteed spots, but then the selection committee selected you to be part of Team USA. Your reaction to that?
Well, I want to know first how much it cost.
It actually did.
Kidding,
Yeah.
folks.
Well, I mean, it was a good week. I mean, I had a really strong performance early in the week, took the lead after the second day, dropped to, I believe, third after the third day, and I had a horrible 3-game stretch on day 4 where I just couldn't double and, had one split every game, and I dropped to something like 11th or 12th in the standings, and, I didn't sleep much that night. I was up at 3 in the morning. I just wanted to get back on the lanes and bowl, and basically the one thing I had to do was, my goal was to win the day. If I won the day, I'd put myself in a position to where I still had to rely on other people to fall based on the point system. But, I think I did what I had to do to make a statement that I could come back from something, a little bad. And the worst part was once we were done at 1 o'clock, knowing I'd got to 4th place overall and only
Ouch.
3 automatic people made it, was having to sit around for the next 7 hours.
Yep.
And everybody I've had some success over the last few years, and everybody made it seem like it was going to be a formality, but I mean,
You never know.
you never know. It's still a selection.
There's been a lot of people over the years overlooked.
Yeah, and it was it was nerve-wracking. My palms were a little sweaty, and when I heard my name called by Matt Lawson from USBC, I've literally probably blacked out. I don't really remember much.
Yeah.
I got my medal for making the team, and I got congratulated. Fagan and Zerbinski and Barnes were up there first, and they told me congrats, and immediately followed that with "Can't wait for camp, rookie."
Right.
I mean, the hazing had already begun.
Well, that's great. Yeah, I was watching online, and I was keeping an eye on your Facebook page also that day, and you had an overabundance of people pouring out support for you. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, it did. It's funny how it goes. When you have a great day, your phone blows up and your Facebook blows up, and after day 4, my phone was very silent. And a lot of people, and Brian O'Keefe, who's one of the assistant coaches on Team USA, went to Nebraska. He's a good friend of mine. He even texted me and said, great bowling. You did what you had to do. Hope it works out. I mean,
Who did?
Brian O'Keefe. He's the
okay.
assistant coach of Team USA.
Yeah.
But he isn't part of the selection committee or
Right.
Or anything like that. So, he had eventually found out after lunch, but he couldn't tell me.
So he's the assistant coach, and he's not part of the selection
The
committee?
selection committee was
Rod?
It was Rod Ross, Kim Terrell, Kearney, and Tony Manna as the former athlete representative.
Okay.
They're the 3.
Okay,
I'm
it's just
sure
3.
Brian might have,
I'm sure, yeah.
a little in phone talk, but those 3 are the only 3 that are there,
Okay.
and it's ultimately their decision.
So you obviously make Team USA, and you've just been a grinding bowler over the years, and you and I have developed a personal relationship the last few years since this webcasting stuff, and you've had to pretty much make a path for yourself your entire life. Never really have had anything handed to you. You own your own landscaping business and have been working, since what age?
I've been working since I was 15.
15 years old, having to do your own thing, and you have done your own thing, and you've bowled so damn well the last 4 or 5 years, and beyond. winning the Boot Hill a couple times. What are some of your other accomplishments that you've
Well,
had?
I won the Southern Shootout in Florida last year.
Eric Ramos's tournament, yeah.
Won a regional in Council Bluffs. Jeff actually finished second in the senior regional the same weekend. Yeah, I mean, won a lot of local stuff, but
You were an Adam Barta away from a doubles title,
yeah,
which is funny in all in itself.
yeah, he still beats himself up pretty bad about it.
You bowled 300 at the Bowler's Journal.
Yeah, I finished fourth at the IB Open in my first appearance last year.
Yep.
Great experience. It was that. I mean, that was really cool. We don't have a lot of TV shows type things for the amateurs or the smaller events anymore, and I mean that was as close as it got.
And you put together a star-studded team for the Open Championships. You were asked to be part of that, and obviously contributed with the star-studded cast, and you get to keep going back with them each year. So that's pretty awesome. So
yeah, it's fun. I mean that ultimately was totally geared off of Jeff and his group. I mean, you got to find 5 guys plus a companion team that buy into a system and buy into the belief that you're bowling for a trophy. You're not bowling for yourself. The money's great, but I mean, sure, when I was in my 20s, it was all about the bracket money and how much loot I could take, but you get to know people like Jeff and Steve, and I've known Mike Shady since he was at Nebraska when I was a little kid. That you see what that trophy means to people, and you learn to appreciate the importance of that tournament. And it was finally time to be a part of something where a group of people believe in that system.
Money gets spent.
Yeah.
Eagles are forever.
Yep.
yeah,
That's the line I always use.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah.
That's like diamonds are forever.
Right.
Eagles are forever. I like it. You're watching continuing coverage 2014 Fusion Realtors Open, game number 3, just getting underway here of this 7-game block. We had 7 games this morning during A Squad. Joined by Jeff Richgels and Rob Gotel here in the booth. We're talking to Rob about his experiences recently making Team USA and making the trek in here after bowling the Masters this week. Some folks want to know, when do you bowl the USBC Open Championships?
We bowl mid-April this year. I could look at my calendar.
Well, you guys you were in the vote for the live stream.
Yeah, we didn't know about the vote.
Right.
And Adam Barta is very, very, very upset.
I figured it was a shoe-in because
About
all
the
he
vote.
has to do is just make a couple posts on Facebook, and there'll be like
and he didn't know about the
12,000
vote.
votes.
No.
And didn't get to do it.
And I didn't see it until the results were already there.
Yeah.
So if I didn't see it and Barta didn't see it,
Yeah.
it probably didn't, it wasn't that noticeable to see.
I mean, Barto took it very hard. He blew up my phone yesterday.
I was the one that informed him.
Yeah.
I sent him a thing that said, dude, you couldn't win a vote online? Are
he
you getting
had-
washed up?
I don't know if on Facebook each week he has this league score
Right,
contest.
right.
And the one week he got like 3,000
Yeah.
guesses
Yes.
for his league score and for somebody to win $30 in a bowling ball. It's unreal.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing. I would think that I would think that if he'd done a couple things and that you guys the vote would have been quite a bit different. I voted just for Derek Oaf's group just because he's in Madison now, so I just was hoping to see, and he bowls with a couple Rick Wolhard.
Oh yeah, they got a good group.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen them.
Bunch of good friends of mine all went to Nebraska.
Heck, every team they had on the vote, do them all.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
They
were
all were deserving.
Yeah, they really were. Tim Barrett's actually in this field. He bowls with that group.
Yep.
So Rob, obviously, you and I have been talking over the last couple of months, and just recently, you've been presented an opportunity over the last year and a half. You put in some time assisting Vanderbilt University with their program. Could you tell some folks kind of what's going on with you and Vanderbilt?
Yeah, well, it's really just been this season. Last year, Josie Erneston, who's the assistant coach there, her and I started bowling some mixed doubles tournaments. Have become really, really close friends. I've known her boyfriend Kyle Barnes for quite a while and stuff, but yeah, we became really good friends, started bowling some stuff. And I had a little downtime between the Proprietors Cup last year and the U.S. Open, and I happened to go up to Junior Gold to watch. She was obviously going up there to do some recruiting. I had never seen Junior Gold.
Oh.
It wasn't around when I was
Sure.
in youth bowling, so I wanted to see 2,500 kids bowl.
I got to do that some year. I've never seen it either.
I mean, it's really a really good spectacle, and so I'd gone there, kind of hung out with her, met John Williamson, the head coach, while I was there. We'd discussed some bowling and bowling balls and stuff, and at one point he asked me if I would ever be interested in coming to campus and helping teach him some stuff about bowling balls and ball motion and, stuff like that. And I said, yeah, absolutely. And, we worked out a little deal for him to fly me out there, put a little money in my pocket and stuff, and it went great. I was there for a week, taught him and Josie a lot of stuff. Couldn't really interact with the girls much because NCAA rules are really, really weird and difficult. I mean, we all follow football and know how messy they are there.
Yeah.
So me being a paid outside source at the time, you can't interact with the girls and give them physical advice, anything like that. You can address them as a group and, kind of give a speech, but you really can't
Coach.
Yeah, you can't coach.
Can't really coach.
So it was mainly to do with the coaches and stuff, work with them on some layouts of balls and surface management, stuff like that. And so I left, and he had sent me an email about, 2-3 days later, and said, hey, we really appreciate everything you did, we'd like to know if you'd be interested in signing on as a volunteer assistant coach. And I'm like, sure, why not?
Well, then that way the background check has to be performed, and
Yeah.
and it becomes a formality now, like an official position.
And I don't get paid or anything, and he's like, you can pick the tournaments you want to go to, and I mean, there's rules of my travel costs have to be less than, their costs, because otherwise they could. It's the way it works,
right.
But. And he goes, you can pick your schedule, so it doesn't interfere with any of your bowling tournaments or anything like that. And so I put something together, and I just wanted to do it to see if I liked it.
Yeah. So
my number one fear originally was dealing with 12, 18 to 22-year-old women at the same time. I thought was going to be a handful, and I mean, there's ups and downs with it, but it's been really enjoyable. I've really enjoyed promoting the game, educating the girls on stuff that I don't think there's enough education out there for the youth of today, especially with you. I mean, you guys both know how much the bowling ball matters and ball motion and stuff these days. It's not just about sliding here, hitting this target. And, I mean, the game's become a lot more feel to where you get the right ball in your hand, you're playing the lanes right, and all of a sudden, you just make better shots.
Absolutely.
And
Couldn't agree more.
So I've traveled now to, I think, 5 tournaments, and actually going to one in Kansas City next weekend. And, I mean, it's been real enjoyable. I absolutely love it. Been to the campus now twice, and they actually just their rec center just built them a 4-lane practice facility on campus.
Is Vanderbilt Nashville?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you've been helping a little bit with Vanderbilt. You've been enjoying that, giving back a little bit to this great game that's given you so much, and living in Lincoln and become friends with John Lucido and numerous other people within the industry. You've conducted yourself with a lot of class and really have done a good job networking yourself over the last few years. And recently you've been given an opportunity, and I'd like for you to talk a little bit about that opportunity and let the folks at home know, this big life change you have coming up.
Yeah, I was approached by Ebonite International about taking a position in their R&D department, and obviously they're located about an hour and a half away from Nashville and in the Vanderbilt program, and I've obviously lived in Nebraska pretty much my whole life.
Yep.
But I obviously I'm going to bowl for as long as I can bowl, and I love the competition, I love the money, but ultimately I want to be involved in this game on a business level, beyond my bowling, and it just happened to work out. The pieces fell where they fell, and I don't know exactly how to say it. It was just something that I couldn't pass up, to be involved on the non-bowling center side of the sport, involved in the industry of the bowling balls and stuff, and also be able to build a coaching resume, stuff like that, to lead me into my future as I get older.
Well, it's about time that an opportunity's been presented to you, and that you've put a lot of work and a lot of dedication, and you've done a lot of things the right way, and you've really, in the last couple of years especially, have really sharpened your game, and a lot of good things have come your way from a lot of hard work that's paying off, and being presented with an opportunity to be able to work in the industry for the first time ever, and uproot and move, and be close to this Vanderbilt deal, which you enjoy so much, and you can give back. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, perfect opportunity for you. So tell us kind of where you're at with this transition. When do you start? Obviously, before we get into that, my dealings with you on a personal level as being friends, and then with the job that I got recently, and I uprooted, which is very similar, moving from St. Louis out to Utah and being part of Storm. Obviously you were someone that I was very close to with the Storm staff, and really enjoyed having you part of our staff, and we talked about this at length, and this opportunity for you was just something you just couldn't pass up, and we're really, really going to miss you in our family of bowling. I'm sure Jeff, it pains him to see you go.
Sure.
Much as it does, all of us. But at the same time, as Bill Crispin would say, we're not going to let anybody pass up an opportunity that's going to help better themselves. And really, truly, that's what this is. I mean, an opportunity for you to be able to do that. You were sought after, and we wish you all the best. So where are we at in the process? You got a home to sell? When do you get to report? What's going on?
Well, I sold my house just over a week ago. I accepted an offer. We're going through all the inspections and all that. They want this done, and it's like all that stuff. But I pretty much got that. That's pretty much done. I made the official transition to the bowling balls about 2 weeks ago, which was a little bit nerve-wracking going into the Masters.
Sure.
And I communicated with you through the whole thing. We tried to keep it open so we knew what was going on both sides, and nobody was in the dark. And the bowling world didn't know much of what was going on. And at the practice session last week for the Masters,
I can only imagine,
was kind of the coming out party,
right?
Per se. And all of a sudden, I had a different logo on my shirt, and
wow,
bunch
probably
of different.
Freak people out, huh?
I mean, the people that were affiliated with Storm that were there, they were aware, and they were very cordial. I mean, Dell and Jim and Schlemmer, they all came up and shook my hand and said hi.
Bowling needs lots of good, prosperous companies. It wouldn't do the industry any good for one of the companies to totally knock every other one out.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
People need to realize that.
Yeah, when I was in discussion with Mike about this before it all happened, I probably actually had one of the greatest conversations I've ever had with two people. I had it was originally going to be me and Mike, and Tim Mack
just happened to
be there.
And
I think it actually worked out just as well that Tim was there, and obviously we've built a lot of friendships, and the biggest thing that touched me the most that they said was, no matter what logo you have on your shirt or what company you work for, a friend is a friend.
Yep.
And they told me that no matter what, it would not change how we viewed each
Absolutely.
other or anything like that. And Tim made sure at the Masters that he came up to me, congratulated me, and he goes, if you ever need anything, you know how to get a hold of me, and that meant a lot, because that was the toughest thing, because and I even kind of dealt with it on a level 2 years ago. I was with Hammer for 10 years, started there with Brian Graham, and Storm had presented me with the opportunity, and it was a business decision. It wasn't anything that Hammer had done wrong or anything had happened. It was just Storm had offered me a better contract. I'd said, hey, here's what they're offering, and they're just like, we can't do that at this time. And Jeff Ussery, who's the brand manager at the time, he said, I wish you nothing but the best. And it was solely business. And
well, I wish you luck, because
out.
I got 2 Ebonite guys on my team, Shady and McDowell.
Yeah.
So I hope you do. So you're going to be involved in the design?
Well, I'm going
Do
to.
you have a degree in that area or anything?
No, they're still going to design. The engineers are still going to do their stuff. I'm going to be more involved with some testing, some data collecting, processing data, that type of stuff. That's where my role is going to be.
My opinion, you are going to be the intangible director, where you're going to be able to. This is supposed to make sense, but when you throw it down the lane, you do
Does it
different
do
things.
it? Yep.
Yeah, obviously every company has the ways they test and stuff, and we're the goal is going to be to try to produce more consistent, complete products into the line. And I mean, I haven't fully met with everyone, there yet.
Sure.
It's been with a couple people, don't know all the exact job details per se, but it's going to be good to have a helping hand and hopefully, bringing a company back up, to the top, help them build their brands back up.
Well, that's interesting. I'm seeing here Barrett is out through 6 frames in this last game, and Tom Smallwood's running away with it. So I guess that means Belmo's passed up Barrett. Coming down to the end. Looks like right there, about six frames in. Is that?
Yeah, I think so. We've got extra frame up
I'm
here.
old. My eyes don't work quite as good on that little phone.
We'll know shortly. Well, Rob, I guess in closing on this subject matter, again, I mean, you talked about what we said, but we wish you all the luck in the world, and I will say that it's going to be very difficult not seeing you in a Storm jersey. It's all I've ever known with you, but obviously we wish you 100% all the best in the world, and you're always welcome on the webcast, just the same as always, and nothing has changed. And man, good luck to you with all that stuff, and I know you'll do great.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike. I mean, I really appreciate your help and your support through all of this, and it's nice to have a friend, and you went through the same type of thing. You made a big change and a big move, and it's nerve-wracking but exciting at the same time.
Yeah. Yep. It is certainly. It's an odd deal, and I actually spoke to another industry professional recently about it. I was seeking some guidance and some help, and this person told me that the first year, all you're doing is learning how the company operates. Yep. The second year, you start to figure out where you fit, and the third year, you start to do what you want to do.
It sounds probably about right.
I mean, 3 years is a long time, So, but yeah, man, I just think it's great that you're going to be able to work in an industry that you've basically made your mark from the very beginning. You love it. We need people that are passionate about bowling, doing great things in the industry, and I just think that you're a great fit. And the other reason why I think it's such a great fit is the more people that can work in the industry and hold somewhat of powerful or influential jobs that can make a difference, and aren't the people that go on Facebook bad-mouthing every little thing or critiquing every little thing possible. I consider that a huge win for bowling, and you are certainly one of those people that are so positive through social media and just through interactions within bowling centers and pro shops that that's a win for bowling.
Thanks. I really appreciate it, Mike and Jeff both. I mean, I'm ready to give back to the game. I mean, this game has given me a lot. I've met so many people from all around the United States, overseas. I mean, it's been truly wonderful.
Rob's going to jet out for a second as he's getting balls punched up here on the fly as his bowling balls have not made it from the Masters, so he had to drill some product.
Yeah, I checked 3 bags. My clothes bag came, and only one bowling bag came. They lost my other bag.
Well,
it won't be here till at least tonight or tomorrow, so I had to.
Don't worry about it. Just get a little left, throw it a little right, throw it as good as you do. You're not going to have any trouble striking on this.
Yeah, I was a little shocked at the scoring pace.
Yeah.
When I landed in Des Moines and I pulled up the scores after reading Jeff's post on Facebook the other day that we were going to bowl on one of the hardest fusion conditions, that they've had in a while, and
believe me.
Which, based on paper and what was said, I would have agreed with what Jeff wrote.
Go look at the graph. I can't believe that this played this easy, or soft. It's not easy, but soft.
Yeah.
I expected it to be pretty hard, but brand new heads here.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I
didn't know that till we were done. At all, and that makes it's just showing people that makes a big difference, because I was like, boy, my ball's getting down the lane easy. Usually here it hooks so early all the time I can't ever use surface.
Yep.
And I ended up trying, using balls that were too shiny, and I finally went to my zero gravity that I hit with 1500 today yesterday before I came, and it was like, I just didn't understand. It would have been better for me to have bowled a later squad and have had a little knowledge ahead of time, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it especially with this HPL surface.
Yes, exactly.
When you put in new heads, it can totally change the bowling center. And now your ball's going to retain its energy, and you're still going to have the friction down the lane.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out why guys were getting the ball so far down the lane, so far to the right, and having it return so strong. And
I bet if the pattern was like 2 or 3 feet longer, it'd play a lot tougher.
I know.
Because then you bring the carry.
Yep, absolutely.
This place, when you get a longer pattern in here, you definitely get to where you have hold, but it's much harder to get the corners out.
You got to throw it better to strike.
Hey, we're looking at lanes 9 and 10 here, and I know 2 of the bowlers pretty well, Dan Lemish and Tyler Vokes. The other 2 bowlers on the pair I don't know very well, but I know that they're buddies with them. And the gentleman up on lane number 10 right now has the first 8 in a row right here, and the bowler bowling across from him is working on 270.
And next to him, Lenny Boris just shot 268.
Yeah. Oh, these guys are Lindenwood guys, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy throws it good here. Now we probably catted him too. We've put enough cats on.
Ben Johnston looking for the front 9.
He got
8,
it.
I mean. 8.
We definitely catted him, though, for the
Definitely.
shot. I'm doing pretty good today. I got the cat power is huge.
So that's the front 8 for Ben Johnston.
He just mowed that 510 over on the brookie.
Hey, I crossed with Aaron Ramsden today, and he's 120 over or whatever. I was counting. He had 5 Brooklyns and 2 trip 2 pins. It was a comical. It was hilarious.
Did he keep it on the lane every shot this week?
There were no gutter balls today. No.
Tyler Vokes here can shoot 222. That's a shot in the 9th there.
I don't know. I don't think that 101. Boy, these guys this squad's lighting it up. It's probably 30-40 over after 2 games, isn't it, already?
I still only have after game number 1, I believe. Nope, B squad through game 2. Casey Murphy leads at plus 148. Jason Wojnar 112. Cameron Smith 102.
Shea Bittenbender, 92. Jacques Kahn, 86. Coliani, 82. Shallow, Porter, Banish, Barnwell. Your top 10.
20th is
29 over.
29 over. Now we're going to be a touch shy of 180, so we only got 59 guys going to tomorrow.
I think he said he was still going to take 60. He's
still going to take 60.
Last time when he was just a few entries short because of all the sponsor money, he still took the 60.
Okay. All right. Well, that maybe that'll benefit me.
Joe really likes to, stick to his format, stick
Yep.
to his guns, and, that's why these tournaments are so great, and that's why I flew back, because this tournament is really about the bowler.
Yep.
He really takes care of the bowler.
Yep.
Going for the front 9 here on lane 9.
Yep, Ben Johnston.
That's better than the
That's
last
a
one.
little better than the last one. Wow.
Yep, front 9 right there.
And I'll give you another Joe example of being for the bowler. You know about the storm you probably heard about. Minnesota and northern Wisconsin just got
Yeah.
a footer to 18 inches of snow and 40-mile-an-hour winds. It was horrible. Well, some guys tried to come down from Minnesota last night, and they closed Interstate 35. It was drifting so bad. So we had 2 open pairs on every squad. They were going to bowl A squad. They were coming last night. He took the 4 guys and moved them to C squad and opened another pair. And, that's the kind of thing that he would do. And now, some people might say, well, then there's different pairs and use it. No. The important thing here is that guys couldn't make it out of nothing that had to do with anything they could control. It was Mother Nature.
Yeah.
And he did the right thing and made an accommodation to enable them to bowl the tournament.
Cameron Smith here, 270 pace through 9. 270 max score, I should say, through 9 now. Dan Lemish up on lane 9. Dan can shoot 232. Tyler Vokes can be in the 220s with 222. First shot in the 10th for Lemish.
The Roto Grip Asylum, that looks like.
Yeah, another great thing about Joe's events is the only reason why I'm here, this is actually my would normally be my third choice to go stream this bowling tournament, but because how nice everyone is here, I'm here. I'm a big NASCAR fan. It's Daytona 500 weekend, and with my job with Storm, I could have gone to the Masters, but I chose to come here and stream this event instead.
That's nice of you, Mike.
Well, they treat me good here.
Yeah, they do.
And I like the field. Tyler with a strike, first one in the 10th, 222 max score, as I said.
Yeah, for a 180 bowler field, the field at his tournaments is strong.
Yep.
And he never, at the 2 fusions, they never just wall them up. So,
Nope.
you still have to bowl, make your spares. I think you're just simply seeing scores today, a product of the center.
Yep. New heads, that's just such a huge thing. I wish I would have known that before I started today. And I was bowling with one of the owners, Zach, today, too. He didn't tell me. So it's down to Dom and Belmo, right?
Yeah, at the Masters, got it up on my phone here. Belmonte needed a strike in a 10th frame.
After Barrett split in the 10th. Now Barrett split here. I don't know if this was a makeable. No, it was a big 4. Wow. What a turnaround.
If Belmo 9 spares, they tie.
So he needs a strike.
Yeah, over on extra frame.
Wow. So 80's out then. 9 spares a tie, strike, he's in. Whew.
Yep, Smallwood and Simonelli are in. It's a matter of Belmo and Barrett. We're watching it on extra frame. If you're not, we'll deliver the news.
He likes it.
Belmo solid, dead,
Jeez.
flushes it to make the show.
What a struggle for him to make it, too, because he had 170 his first game, and neither of them shot a whole lot for those 3 games. He knocks out his fellow Storm guy. But you know what? As Pete always said, Riggs, no friends on the lanes.
Belmo looks pretty taken back by this moment.
Well, he was out, right? I mean, Dom went 6-2. Dom just marks. That's over. Oh, poor Dom. Wow.
Matt Lawson working hard down there. Okay, so we will shift our attention away from New Jersey, where Jason Belmonte has made the show along with Tom Smallwood, Ryan Simonelli to go with Haugen and Tackett. And now here we are at the Fusion Realtors, the 2014 version during B Squad.
And right for a chance to see a 300 game.
Game number 3 in B Squad. Mike Flanagan, Jeff Richgels, and Rob Gotel joins us here in the booth. And we're watching some Midwestern Lindenwood guys absolutely wrecked this pair. It was Tyler Vokes, 221, Dan Limish, 231. And now up on lane number 10 with the front 9 is Ben Johnston. With the front 9 looking for the 10th strike in a row to start this game.
It's taking some time.
That looks
Close.
pretty good.
Yeah.
That's the front 10.
He got that runawayer in the 8th, and boy, he's throwing the last 2 good.
And then Cameron Smith quietly has a max score of 270, and he's about to bowl on lane 9, his 11th delivery in this game. And there's quite a crowd down here watching now, actually.
Yeah, this place is pretty full. Good to see.
Cameron Smith looking for 8 in a row. He's got it.
I don't think he liked that.
No, he didn't. He's pretty, he's got a pretty dumbfounded look on his face all the time.
Yeah.
He really does.
Very
I've been
true.
watching him. He's just very even
Yeah.
keel, like nerves of steel. So now here's Ben Johnston looking for the first 11 at the Fusion Realtors Open, B Squad qualifying game number 3. And it's gotten a little quiet down here.
It's a little wide.
Whoops. Oh, here's going to be an interesting score here.
So a 5 count, if he spares it'll be 285. He's got the opportunity for the 282 pot if it were to exist.
I've never had 281. I've had 82, 83, 84, I think.
In juniors, when I was like 13 or 14, the first time I ever had the front 10, I left this and I went back through it for 280.
280. Well, then you just told him you went strike spare sheet.
Yeah.
Well, there's 270 there for Cameron Smith.
Oh, there it is.
282
No, that's 81.
or
281.
81.
I've never, that's one score I've never had.
281 score for Ben Johnston.
Folks, you don't see that every day. Only on Inside Bowling.
Yeah. Jeff Richgels, USBC Hall of Famer, has never bowled a 281.
I've
but-
never seen one.
but
And
now
ever.
Ben Johnston just did it.
Have you ever seen a 281?
I've never seen a 281.
I've done 82, 83, 84. I know that.
All right, we'll piece that out for a clip later.
That's awesome.
That'll be a good YouTube clip. 281.
I've got some of my Madison boys over on 5 and 6 here.
Take you there now.
I think my mum's wanting you back home. You say sorry to her.
Hey, Mom. Ben Johnston's mom, he apologizes for that bad shot.
280, that's like about 16 frames for me today. There it is. EJ, Haugen, Smallwood, Simonelli, Thelmo. So, Rob, I heard they used ice this week, right?
Yes.
Did it stay pretty stable all day?
The front stayed pretty stable, but as usual at Carolier, throughout the week they just kept getting tighter and tighter.
Yeah.
And they were really sparky. Practice session there was a lot of friction. Day one there was quite a bit of friction, and of course I bowled on the burn day one, and it was the worst scoring of the burn days just because there was so much and the bays played so different.
Yep.
The the high end or the downstairs bay, as people call it, it gets much tighter down the lane than the other bay, and they were just tricky pair to pair, and finally by day 3, they'd gotten tight enough that I think the transitions pair to pair weren't as drastic because they were a little tighter. You know, when you went to a different pair, your ball didn't stand up and get 5. You could get 9 when you missed. But I mean, I think it was the right oil to use.
Yeah.
It, you know, you still get a lot of play, but there wasn't. I mean, a few guys were in loft in the gutter, but most you never had to be that far.
Because we bowled for the senior masters last year at South Point. We bowled on ice, and I wrote about this in my blogs when we bowled it. We bowled 2 fresh and a burn just like that, and I mean, my feet were I was 8 and 5 different from the first games on the fresh to the 10th game on the burn.
Yeah.
You know, it was really, really interesting, I guess is the best way to put it. I mean,
You know,
and now that's raisins. Obviously, we're not
Yeah.
blowing up the lane. That's why I was curious.
Well, but in match play,
They
which
break down more.
is but generally it happens at the Masters is everybody moves an arrow or 2 to the right.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
You have enough people that can only play their one game in qualifying that
They force you there.
Well, it hurts some of it because I crossed with a great kid this week, really nice guy, but he had a ton of rev rate, and he didn't back it off, and he just climbed on it every shot, and so he had no choice, but he never slid right of 25, and you know it just hurts you because one he's not playing the lanes the way you should to break him down, and you know that's why you see some of the scores you see is just people can't do enough different things to play the lanes more proper. And yesterday, C squad bowled A squad essentially. You know, they bowled the 8 a.m. squad, which had a good majority of the touring players. And since they were tighter, they played them way to the right, and they bombed them.
Yep.
And then the burn. So in turn, the burn was
had
better.
bombed
The burn was better.
Hey guys, it looks like we're getting a little out of whack on when people are bowling, and there's some people in frame 5, there's some in frame 3.
Well, we were that way the first squad. Of course, there were a pair with 1 or 2 pairs with 3 guys.
We never caught that in our range. We didn't.
It was down that way.
Yeah, we didn't absorb that down.
We
here.
almost got lapped, but that was because our pair was throwing 2 balls pretty much every
Well,
day.
and I think that's why you see the some in the 5th and 6th and some in the 1st or 2nd is
Scoring pace.
well, and you know what? A lot of times, sometimes the pairs that are striking are actually slower than the pairs that aren't striking. I mean, the kids from Lindenwood that just bowled, they were the last ones done.
Yep.
And on the 2 lanes, they bowled 5:01 and 5:20.
Yeah, you're right. Time takers.
Yeah, you know, a little extra lane courtesy, a little more time, make sure you make a good shot. But then there's times where you get a couple guys struggling, and they need some more time. And
Casey Murphy, 548 for 2 games. Yeah, that's not surprising. He throws it fantastic. He's probably another guy like you that qualifies in the if the PBA was what it should be, would be out there. Derek Olf's one. Barta.
yeah, definitely. I think, not that the tour's bad. I mean, it's not a tour right now,
Right.
really.
It's not. I've been saying that for a couple of years. It's not really a tour anymore.
We go to Vegas, Detroit, and New Jersey.
Yep.
And occasionally Indy.
Yeah, I was lucky I was born when I was. I wasn't good enough to make anything out of it, but at least I got to spend 2 years experiencing it when it was just about at the peak.
Yeah, I tell you what.
That was fun.
And talking to a lot of the guys this week, there is a lot going over for this overseas swing.
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot of them are leaving.
What are you going to do?
Tomorrow they're going to, I think it's like Qatar, Bahrain,
Tom Hess going to a couple of those. I talked to him a couple weeks ago.
We interviewed Tom Doherty earlier on this webcast, and Tom actually is headed over there for the first time ever.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? I mean, the money is good over there, and the tournaments are good, but the fields are going to get tough.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the expenses are high. And
yeah. I actually talked to Tommy Jones. He was trying to get me to go on the trip, and the way this trip worked, they actually found a way because of flying out of New Jersey and stuff that it was only going to be like $1,200
that's not bad.
for all the flights. And you're going to Qatar, Bahrain, Germany.
Yeah, that's good.
And so that, I mean, that was pretty good. But those tournaments, they pay well on the top, but you know the bottom is okay. You're going to break even, but it's going to be hard for all these guys to make money. But at the same time, I think it's good. You know,
They'll build a sport worldwide.
I mean,
Hey, guys.
obviously the tour's got worldwide.
13 and 14, we get to watch our 4 Lindenwood standouts. 2 currently on the team and 2 that have already graduated. So they move over to 13 and 14 with our skip procedure. And I'm going to go out and roam a little bit, try to get some score updates from around the other pairs.
And on the split screen, I talked a little bit this morning, or first start of this squad, about young guy from Madison. I guarantee nobody here has heard of, and he's in the red shirt throwing the gold magic. He's up on lane 5. I believe he's got a 280 game going. I do not know what he had the first 2 games. He's a young guy that has a devastating strike ball. Throws it straight at spares, but doesn't use a plastic ball, which I've talked to him a little bit about. He's kind of erratic on spares, pretty emotional as a bowler, but my God, this guy's carry percentage is absolutely sick. And he's got 280 going here. And
You know, his ball roll reminds me a lot of Adam Barta.
Yeah, he strikes just, it blows me away. And we were bowling on the U.S. Open pattern in league this year, or this round.
Yeah.
And he had the first week he had 660, and he's going like 15-5 and getting it to peel off the spot and come back. I'm like, wow, what is going on? With a gold.
Hey guys, down here on 27 and 28, Tim Barrett, 223 the last game. He sits at plus 62. Kevin Williams, 195, sits at 17. Bittenbender, not a good game, 172, takes himself down to plus 74. And Casey Murphy continues to roll. He shoots 245. He's plus 193, opens up with 793.
That's pretty solid.
And I actually got Casey here. I'm just going to ask him a little about his block here. Casey, what are you using out there? How'd you go 193 over?
I switched to my Rain of Power about midway through practice and had a lot better luck. It looked like high RG was better for me. Of course, I have a little slower ball speed and I rev it up a little more. So people who throw it a little harder could probably throw lower RG stuff. But for me, I had to get to something that would go down the lane and not flip.
There's a very underrated ball. Rain on.
Jeff Richgels says that the Rain On is one of the most underrated balls the Storm's made. I know you and I have had a couple conversations about that ball, and you continue to use that ball. You love it, don't you?
Yeah, actually, the first one I drilled too weak because I didn't understand what the design intent was. But then I drilled another one that was a little stronger, and it is one of my must-haves. Gotta take it to a tournament. Every single tournament I go to, I love it.
All right, man, we'll keep it going.
Thanks.
He's got the first 5 this game, guys.
Wow. And we got my boy Brent Ritchie on lane 6 right now on the split screen, red shirt, shooting 280, strike spare 6-bagger with the gold magic. Whoa, he dropped that one. Cat. He did strike on the last shot, though, so I didn't totally cat.
Here's a surprise. Rick Miller, plus 7 after 3 games is all.
Interesting. That would tell me that the left side might be, I mean, Rick rarely bowls not good.
Yeah, I saw him throw a few shots earlier, and he had like double 5 count through the middle.
Yeah, the first game was like that.
I'm wondering if he's just got a hair too much friction out there,
Yeah.
and then when he tries to be cute with it, it just doesn't tip over.
Hey, guys, Derek Sapp, plus 76, bowled 247 the last game. Quentin Bolam, 162. was his last game, drops him to minus. Wojnar, 236, he sits at plus 148. And Koliani bowled 179, he's at plus 61.
Yeah, I mean, solid scores for the, 3-game start. We're bowling, what, 7-game block?
7. The one thing that I talked about, Rob, before you got on here was when we bowled, I got faked out thinking they were going to be harder, played them totally wrong the first 3, and they got really nice. But there's so much higher rev rate on this squad and your squad. I was wondering about how much how much they'd blow open and maybe just break. I mean, it's only 39 feet and the drop rush is at 33. So, and I'm seeing a lot of shots going high already, and this is only the 4th game. That may be the one thing that keeps a guy like me having some hope of making the cut.
Yeah, I agree. I lost one of my bags. Southwest lost one of my bags, and I came in, saw the scores, looked at how people were playing the lanes. I was going to try to get by with the 2 I had in the spare ball, but I'm like, there's a lot of younger kids bowling the night squad tonight. There's going to be a lot of rev rate. They're going to break down faster. I mean, they're going to hook. At some point, they're going to get a little tougher. I watched Casey bowl game 2, I believe, and I mean, he was pretty firm, pretty straight, kind of keeping it in front of him right around the oil. Like, if there was a topography to the house shot, he was right on that house shot oil line. And now as we're seeing some people, go left to right, your buddy down here on lane 5 in the red, I mean, he's pretty deep, for 39 feet and only being game 4. I mean, he's sliding 30, 35. And are the fronts going to go away at all? I mean, that's the big thing. Even with the new heads, are the fronts going to go away enough to where you have to trick it through the front to get it to tip the right way on the back?
And a guy like him doesn't know those tricks at this point, and I don't know. There's some guys in this squad, but when you're talking about 20 making it off each squad, there probably aren't 20 here that can do a bunch of things that you had to learn back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing for the people that don't have those tricks is if you can pop off this 700 to 750 set to start, your swing's a little looser. You're a little more confident in your game, and they're probably going to grind a little better as opposed to if they went like 2-0, 2-teen, 220, and they're thinking I got to get 70 or 80 the next 4 games.
He's got, after that 310, he's doubled in the 10th. That's 240. I do not know what he had the first 2 games. So,
because that would be, we're in game 4, correct?
Yeah, we should get a 3-game totals probably available if we clicked right here. But Mike's not here. I don't know which buttons to click to make that happen. Is it it's over on that one. Is that event information? The blue bar there, big blue. Drop it down and get B squad. Game 3. Aha!
Look
I'm
at
not
that.
so dumb. I sit on a computer every day for.
Jeff, we'll run this thing before it's over.
Yeah, we'll just tell Mike. We're not. I got appointment with some dice tonight.
Yeah,
and some beer.
Our standings after 3 games, we got Casey Murphy, 793, Cameron Smith, 172 over Jason Wojnar, 148. Lenny Borish, 111. Daniel Lemise, 80 over. Steve Taylor, 77. What was the gentleman's name that bowled 285? Or 281.
281, that's Ben. Hollis and Johnstone there. So he's 57.
Oh, yeah. So
20th's already 51 right now on this squad, and I was 20th on our squad at 66. So, yeah, I mean, it's just telling you. But 19th on the first squad was 101. There's nobody between that, so that's kind of the number that you look at.
We're probably looking at the 100,
yeah,
the 100 to 110 range.
I said we were in the 4th game today, or 3rd or 4th game, and once I realized what the lanes were doing, right away they asked me. I said, 75 to 100 will make it. And I think I'm going to probably on the high end of that. But you never know. We'll see how they break down. It's only 39 feet. HPLs can get awful toasty.
Oh, yeah.
You guys see they got standings up after 3?
Yeah, we figured it out.
Okay.
I was directing traffic, and he
Right.
was punching buttons, and we got it up.
And we rattled off the first 9. You know, like he was just saying, 20th, 51 over. Right?
And you want to see this Jacques in 8th there? I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I crossed next to him. He was with Drew Balta at this doubles. He was next to me and Tommy Hess a couple weeks ago in the Quad Cities, and boy, he throws it nice.
Oh, yeah,
Really.
yeah.
Oh,
He bowls
man.
for
the
William Penn.
Yeah,
William
one
Penn.
of the college things. Yeah.
Yeah, young kid. He's from Alaska.
Really?
Where's he at?
He usually wears funky colored pants.
He's with the two-handed guy.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's down that end now.
So earlier, we were looking into what the squads, what the number would be, and we were talking like between 80 and 100. Jeff, has that number changed in your opinion?
No, I said on the high end of that. I think that 101 is, there's no one on A squad between me at 66 and 101, and I think it's going to be close to that 101. It's 51 already on this squad, 20 guys. So
I'm going to throw it out there. If you are 91 over or more, you're going to make the cut.
okay. That's only 3 game totals there, boy. You got to think there's going to be more than 20 guys 100 over on this squad.
Yeah, but you got to think about it, Jeff. We just talked about it. I think
Yeah.
as people move left and stuff, you're gonna have to get your game on the pair when you got it.
Yeah.
Because if you only bowl 210 or 220
Yep,
on that
that's
good
true.
pair, you catch a bad one, and all of a sudden you bowl 190, 180, 190, 20. You haven't made up enough pins.
And I was 22 under after 3 because I didn't have a clue of what I should have been doing. I didn't figure it out.
Yep.
I mean, I threw away. I should have been 70 over for those. I should have had 100 more.
Well, I'm gonna step out here for a little bit. I need to go work out
Go get those
2
balls
balls.
worked out. Are we going to see you after C Squad tonight over at the dice table? Okay, good.
All right, that's Rob Gotel. Thanks for joining us, Rob. We appreciate it. Jeff and I continue to bring you this coverage of game number 5, 4?
4, end of 4. Well, some are finishing here. They're in the middle of the 4th game in front of us. And then some guys got 4 done over there and are headed this way.
Well, that was nice to have Rob stop by. I know he's been blown up with all kinds of questions about what's been going on and everything. And
I didn't even know anything about that.
yeah, we kept it under reps pretty good.
I bowled doubles with, what we had was the 50-50 that they have at Cadillac here in Waterloo. Joe runs a doubles, a 4-man, and then a doubles. And our group was me and Greg Shields, because Dave Axton was injured with a neck injury, and then Rick Miller and Rob. And 75, on Saturday we had 26 4-man teams, and on Sunday we had 75 doubles teams. It's a heck of a tournament. It's on the biggest house china you've ever seen, though. And we actually lost money for the weekend. Couldn't strike enough, but I had the best time bowling with Rick and Rob, and of course Greg. It was a riot, and just nice to watch his game. I could sit and watch that all day. It's like, geez, he's so clean through the ball.
Yeah, and he's not even like a big boomer. He's like a power stroker.
Yep.
Yep. I certainly going to miss him on the Storm staff.
Yeah, it's a loss for Storm, but boy, I hope he does good things for Ebonite. Like I said, I've preached this when people talk bad about other companies, knowing I'm on Storm, and I say this over and over. The bowling industry needs as many good, prosperous companies as they can get, and like I said, I have 2 Ebonite guys on my team. And if we got some Madison guys watching here, some of my boys, Kevin Thompson, +3 for Madison. Scott Erickson, +51. Brent Ritchie, who I was talking about, just shot 240. He's +51 as well. And then Chris Cooper, -46. 66 was 20th, but 19th was 101.
101?
So you want to get triple digits.
I try to get as high as I can, but I'm just curious.
Right. Yeah, and that's one of the things about this tournament too, is pins are carrying over, so it's not just about making the cut. It's, you know, I mean, I if I sneak in 20th, it's what am I bowling for tomorrow?
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's, you know, if I don't, it's no big deal. I'm going to be so far behind, and that's why what Casey Murphy's doing is so important. You can build up a bunch of pins here, and people got to remember the top 4 after the 6 extra games tomorrow with 7 today, they're in the step ladder, and then you have the death march, I call it, of the bracketed 6 people for 1 spot, which is an interesting and fun format.
Pretty insane. I really enjoy watching this 13 and 14 pair.
Yeah, that's some, boy, amazing how many young players there are that throw a great compared to when there was way more bowlers. I mean, the coaching high school and college programs didn't exist when I was that age. Lenny Borish having a little struggle this game. He 4-9'd in the 9th. Going to shoot 190 something. It'll be interesting to see how these lanes break down and how they turn out. And I see his dad. There's Lenny Sr. sitting behind 13 and 14 and 11 and 12, catching the action after his 80th birthday. Legend in the Midwest PBA. I think you guys are asking about the pattern being posted. I put the parameters out, and they have it, as he does every year. Joe has it printed out here. I don't know that there's an electronic PDF available anywhere to post, so I don't think we have it posted. If they have a PDF of it, I'd be happy to put it on my blog.
Yeah, I don't have a PDF. I know there's a picture, or there's a.
I guess I could take a picture with my phone or something.
It's on the counter up there.
Yeah,
It's
I could
taped
take a
down
picture
on the
with my
counter.
phone. I don't know how much you could see with that, though. My phone camera is not the best. Basically, it's 39 feet. It's 2.3 to 1. It's, if I'm remembering right, almost 30 mils. It's pretty high, which for HPL is not excessive, because HPL hooks quite a bit. And it's kind of just, basically the picture of it is it's pretty Christmas tree. And that's why I was really expecting the out to play a little better maybe, and I also expected that there would not be as much skid up front and in the middle as there turned out to be, where you could play left and boomerang. But the thing I didn't know about was that they put brand new heads in recently. And that makes, as Rob and I talked about, makes all the difference in the world. Oh, someone's going to send it to me. Use my email address that you can get off of 11thframe.com, so it's no secret. Riggs, RIGGS 7465. That's my PBA number. That's why where that comes from. At frontier.com. You send it there. I will post it on, I guess it would be my preview blog when I get back to the room when we check in. I have my laptop with me. And I'll try and get on there and add it or something, or maybe I'll just post it as a picture on my Facebook page or something, or on the Inside Bowling Facebook page. Or if someone has it, if they, whoever's there if you have it, you guys can just post it on the InsideBowling.com Facebook page too. People can look at it right there.
Yep.
That might be the easiest thing. Then you don't have to wait till I get back to the room hours from now. And I think Kegel helped, as they always do, help the center here create the pattern.
I've got an interesting thing to talk about regarding Kegel.
Yeah, Brando's right here before you get into that. This place, since Zach and crew bought this place, they have put so much money into it. This is really for an older center, and it's really a beautiful facility. The bar has been redone, and I was coming here 30 years ago, when it was wood lanes for regionals, and they have made this place quite spiffy.
It is definitely
a nice older center. I would imagine when they do the masking units, everyone at home will be able to feel a little bit more of the modernization, but it does feel newer. It's very clean in here.
So what's your Kegel scoop?
The Kegel scoop is Kegel is coming on board as an official sponsor of the 2014 Storm Inside Bowling.com Open.
Sweet.
And Mike Davis will be in St. Louis with 2 lane machines putting down the condition.
Wow.
So really, really proud of that one.
That is some good big news there.
Yeah, so I'm going to share the pattern that I've been putting out with those guys. Let them know what I'm looking for. And when Mike comes in town, we will test. And I am open to, as long as it plays very similar to how it has the last 3 years, I'm open to just letting them handle it and leaving it to them with just a little guidance from me.
Well, I'll tell you, you have done things with that pattern that people say can't be done in the last couple of years. Not having it end up over the gutter cap and letting some angles play out and in. And the best one to me was the year that I bowled in the death march that lasted till midnight. Picking on an old guy that just couldn't quite keep it going all night long. But that was Guardian, right? Where was that at?
Guardian. Crest Bowl.
Correct. Okay. And I remember it was Jerry Kessler, and you can't be done. And what did you use? 30? How many mils of oil?
Almost 36.
36. And I'm here to tell you, they played out, and you never got. I think I didn't get maybe a little left of 15 at the very end of the night.
And I put out like 32 mils at Tropicana on HPL.
Yep. And one of the things I'll bang on USBC for is I'm so tired of the red, white, and blue program. The reds are just house patterns, so they don't even count. But the whites and the blues, there's 3 patterns of each, and basically the white's just house shots, and the blue is marginally challenging, but like 4 of the 6 patterns use so little oil, you basically can't use them. It's like,
I know it.
Okay, you created these how many years ago? The game changes all the time. The balls get stronger. Get us. Okay, here's what they need to do. I hope they're listening. The red patterns should be what the white are now, and there should be like 6 of them. And okay, have one low volume one, but these days, if you're not putting out patterns with 26 to 30 mils,
correct,
you are not doing your job.
I agree with that, and it costs the bowling centers money. I get that.
Yep, but it's and then okay, then your whites are going to be what the blues are now, and have like 6 of those. And again, you find if you have a couple that are low, but you got to have most of them 26, even over 30, and have options for centers that have bad surfaces that need more than 30 mils or HPL or whatever. I mean, their program is so bad, it just aggravates me so much. There's so little to choose from. Kegel's so far ahead of them with that, and I guess maybe USBC has bigger priorities. But then the blues could be something just above the level of sport. The difference between most sport patterns and the blue patterns is so dramatic. The blues are just too easy. And for people who say I don't criticize USBC, there's a little scorched earth for you. Junk what you got for red, white, and blue. Start over and give us some useful 3 varieties. Give us 18 patterns and have them make sense for today's game.
I think every lane pattern, unless it's on the Brunswick surface, you should have to put 30 mils on the lane. And it should have to oil at least 32 feet. And I'm not talking about buff. It has to oil at least 32 feet.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. I think this pattern here, I think Rob had it right. I don't know, it may have been when you were walking down there and we were chatting a little bit. If this pattern was more like 42 feet, and I'm talking not just buffing it more, but then adding a couple feet to the oil and a couple feet to the pattern, I think it would have played much more where you had to be a little more finesse and a little less power, and the scores would have been a little lower. It would have been a little more demanding than what it is. There would have been more hold, but there wouldn't have been a much stand left, throw right, and you wouldn't have had the ball coming in the pocket at such an angle. I really think that would have been a little bit more of a challenge. Whoa, look at that. Greg Thomas throwing messengers around. Are you kidding me? He's too old to do that.
End of game 4 on your right-hand side of the screen. Beginning of game number 5 on the left-hand side of your screen.
Yeah, those guys are a little, for youngsters, they should be, and they're throwing plenty of strikes. Well,
Yeah.
they did in that game.
Well, 200 for Vokes, 193 for Cameron Smith.
Whoops. They just
Ben Johnson had 192, and Limish 211. So we will just go to full screen here down on 5 and 6. Mike Flanagan, Jeff Richgels here with you. It's Masters Saturday. The field is set, and now it's just Fusion Realtors talk moving forward here. And you see there the first time Casey Murphy's thrown a ball on our webcast today over on lane 4, and he 2-8-10.
I didn't even say anything. We got a cat. So I want to know, you're going to Reno next week, and I know it's the Storm Bowlers Journal Championship, and we're big supporters of everything. What do you got to do for those days besides schmooze and drink and have fun? Are we doing any webcasting or any?
Well, no webcasting. But I can tell you that the Storm booth this year, we are doing some upgrades to the booth this year. We are putting in 2 flat screen TVs up on the upper wall, where when you come out, you'll be able to watch some loop tapes of our balls in action, particularly at majors, and a loop tape of testimonials and things that are happening at the Open Championship. So we'll do some taping of that stuff. You're also going to see Mike Jasnow in lane 81 more intertwined with the booth itself. There's going to be a nice promotion this year where if you get a coaching lesson and a new ball with Jasnow, you get $50 off.
Sweet.
Mike and I are going to spend some time on the lanes when I go out there. He's actually going to give me a lesson, and we're going to record my lesson and some testimonials and stuff with Mike, and we're going to have that ready to go for out there. I'm also going to meet with the Eldorado as we are working on a couple of really fantastic promotions with the Eldorado to brand Storm and the Eldorado one and the same. I know USBC has tri-properties, but we're going to try to drive people to the Eldorado and build on our relationship with the Eldorado that we have.
Interesting.
And I can't really give too much details
Sure.
right now, but when I do, you'll know about it.
Okay.
And it's going to be pretty impressive and pretty nice. And then we also, when I'm out there, we'll be merchandising the booth, and we're going to have an iPad at the booth this year where you can sign up for the Storm Nation, and you'll be able to win. I think it's going to be a bowling ball a month. We'll draw for a bowling ball every month, and that's going to be pretty cool. But just a lot of little fun things that I'll be putting together a little story on it, a little release on it, and maybe you can put something together for us, Jeff. And just kind of like, hey, if you go to the Open Championships, we want you to know that Mark Anderson and his group of folks at the booth are very busy, but they're there to serve you. And there's really neat opportunities at the booth this year. And I got a couple of really, really interesting things with this Bowlers Journal. We're working on a program currently with the Bowlers Journal to where if you bowl certain scores on those lanes, you're going to be entered into drawings and the opportunity to win things.
So my 523 in doubles that I'll probably shoot.
It's per game. So basically what I wanted to do is, let's just say you go and you bowl the Bowlers Journal and you open up with just a disastrous game.
That would be me.
Okay.
Usually.
Well, then you go to a new pair and you've got an opportunity to win something if you bowl a 200 game.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Just keep it more interesting.
Interesting.
You know, more enjoyable. some of the ideas that were kicked around was, one of the pairs, if you bowl a 200 game or a 225 game, you get your name entered into a drawing to where you could be featured in a Bowler's Journal one-page ad, and you could put that ad in for whatever you wanted. So if you own a landscaping business,
Wow.
you could get a full-page ad in the Bowler's Journal. If you want to take a picture of you and your buddies drinking beers at League, you could do that. You know what I mean? All right. So that, you know what I mean? And that would be like just a certain pair to where if you bowl a 225 or better, you get entered into that drawing. Another one would be maybe an insta-win where you would get a like a Storm stress ball or a keychain or something like that. Another one would be where you could become a Storm staffer for a year. Just some.
Cool.
And it's all preliminary. We got to finish up. I mean, we've got some stuff ordered. We got some new graphics and stuff that we were working on that we ordered. But that's a little tidbit, a little teaser for some of the stuff that I'm going out with Roger, who's done a great job over the years, and I'm just helping enhance what he does and what Mark and all those guys do. I've just put my little Flanagan little paintbrush on it, and we're just playing around with some stuff. And we're going to try to make it more user-friendly and more interactive.
Well, if you want to tie in with El Dorado, win a free ace for blackjack or a free wipe out a 7-out at the craps table.
Ooh.
This is the one promotion, the craps player in me, that I've never seen anywhere that to me would be the greatest promotion ever, is to give away in drawings to craps players a free card, wipe out a 7-out. So you're in the middle of a decent roll, and of course it's going to happen eventually, but all of a sudden, whoops, here's my card. Keep the money up.
Yeah.
I'm still rolling. Never seen that. That's the one brainstorm I've always had.
That is a good idea. That is a good idea. I do like that. Well, we're working on something with the El Dorado that I can't discuss right now, but if it comes to fruition, I think a lot of bowlers are really going to like it.
Well, I'm a longtime loyal Sands guy with Dennis Young, the guy I call the world's greatest casino host.
Yeah.
But I play at the El Dorado when I'm out there. I'm not picky. They support bowling, so I support them. Play at El Dorado, play at Legacy.
Well, Bill Chrisman has an incredible relationship
that.
with
El Dorado.
yeah. And so far, my first trip out there already, the El Dorado folks are just dynamite to work with.
That's where the Hall of Fame, everything was for the Hall of Fame and USBC convention last year. And they had the Hall of Fame banquet and dinner at the El Dorado, and boy, they did it up good. It was impressive. I give them credit. That was a great meal, well run, nice facility. It was excellent. And that's where it is this year again, I think, too, April 24th. Eric Fritton here just gave me the fever sign. Definitely see him at the Owl tonight. Well, let's see here. Looks like Casey's having a little struggle this game. Our leader, Casey Murphy. Somebody on the pair has spare 5-bagger on 3 and 4, or maybe 6-bagger, but Casey's got, I think that's 65 in the 4th and a spare in the 5th, and he's up on lane 3 right now. Well, I know the low end here hooked so much more than the high end on our squad today, which
And they look tighter to these guys, or they made ball changes and they just miffed in the head a little bit. Kevin Williams is the lefty that has the 290 working.
oh, okay.
Actually, I take that back. No, it's not Kevin Williams.
And he went, Casey went high again, so He might be 250 over for 4, but he's not going up this game right
That's
now.
where I think that the transition, jumping different sides of the house and things like that, guys get comfortable bowling those early good scores, and then they jump and they get confuzzled, and that's why I thought 90, what'd I say, 91? 213 average is what I was going with. 213 average would make the top 60. That's my prediction.
And that was another advantage I threw away today. I drew 3 and 4, so we never had to make the flip. We went from one end pair to the other today, so I never had to make the flip. I just bowled very dumb and very poor the first 3 games.
It's Shea Bittenbender that's working on the 290.
Okay.
And I talked to Shea before the block. Went down during practice as well. Talked to him a little bit about how I thought they needed to be attacked, and I told him to stay as far right as he possibly could that he was comfortable with and keep his ball speed up. And if he didn't have the higher ball speed in him today and he needed to slow hook it, wait until about game 3 to do that, and then just get in and wheel it.
Yep.
And looks like that's what he's doing right now. He's got a high road pearl in his hand, I think.
Smart man. I wanted to ask you, I haven't had a chance. I watched some of the webcast of the holiday doubles this year.
Yep.
And it wasn't quite the high scoring, I mean, it was high scoring, but it wasn't the stratospheric that you usually just look at the scores and shake your head and go, come on. So what happened there?
There was an attempt by myself and Jerry. I got into town, and Jerry's really concerned about his lane surface and it being able to hold up because we had 3 teams on a pair this year.
Yeah.
He was very concerned with.
So that's still his old wood?
Yeah.
Yep.
He was very concerned with what was going to happen. So we did not change the shape of his pattern whatsoever. We changed the speed of the machine going down the lane, and
Interesting.
we tried to make it, there were a couple loads taken a little wider and stuff, but it was in the attempt to try to keep people right of the track.
Okay.
Because the track blows up.
Yep.
And some way, somehow, they never really blew up like they should. And I mean, they did hook, but for some reason, with the way that track plays, the outside really didn't develop to a comfort zone for anybody, and there was hang. And you're right, scores weren't crazy.
I mean, they were high, but usually there it's like just astronomical.
2 people averaged 250, I think.
And didn't the lefties then do pretty well this year too?
Lefties did pretty
That's
good.
probably because the right side didn't open up like it usually does.
Well, I mean, they started hooking on the right side,
Yeah.
but the left side, the lane surface is just so much better on the left.
That's a center that I go way back with, bowling regionals there eons ago, and I did win there at least once, but we had some great times there. And one of the things was how much fun it was because the lanes hook so much usually. And I'll never forget the one year they used to pay to get a big star in. He'd bring somebody in each year. And one year Tommy Jones bowled. And
Yep.
Tommy Jones, now you have to, if you don't know Redbird lanes, on lane 1, the approach ends, it's not a wall. It's like a drop down of maybe a foot. I
Yeah.
don't know, that might be too much, but it's tile.
It's a large step.
It's a large step down, and it's all tile. Well, Tommy gets to 1 and 2, and this is how much they were hooking. I was throwing the original tropical heat or whatever, the green and yellow one, and I was playing fifth arrow, boomeranging it and shooting 250s, and they were hooking. And so you can imagine what Tommy Jones is doing in this. Well, he gets down to 1 and 2, and I hear this bang, and I'm looking down, and I was probably on 9 and 10, and everyone all of a sudden is gathering around behind 1 and 2. Well, Tommy was walking up the tile and lofting out over the gutter cap on lane 1, and because he was so low with that extra, he really had to loft it. So it was like bang every shot, and of course the crowd was in a tizzy over that. Everybody was trying to get behind that pair to watch, and it was really something. So it's not too often you see someone slide off the approach on the tile. It was
Nobody's
something else.
been able to tell me how he actually bowled that game.
No, he bowled good. He was up. I don't remember if he won that year. He made the cut. He had a good game that game, and he was striking. Believe me. That was a high-scoring year, and they let him hook that year, and it was like the old regional number 3 pattern. It was a real thin, long, kind of tube-ish thing, but boy, that pattern hooked. And there we were on that old wood there. I don't know, it looks to me like the number is definitely, in front of us at least, is slowing down. I'm not seeing any gigantic strings on 2 or 3 pairs to the right or left of me right
Take
now.
you over to 5 and 6. You'll be able to see Murphy coming into your screen, your tournament
there he
leader
is.
on lane number 4.
Did manage to double. Oh, ring 10. I still don't think I got any chance at 66, but I think that 101. I think you're probably going to be pretty close with 91.
So standings after 4 games are now updated about 10 minutes ago. Casey Murphy plus 247, Wojnar plus 166, Cameron Smith 164, Sikora 151. That was a name you were talking about
lefty.
earlier.
He's a senior lefty. When he's got something to work with, he's dangerous. He's a good player.
Shallows in 5th at plus 127. Bedard, Taylor, Toliani, Borish. Pate, your top 10. 20th place, 74 over through 4 games.
So it's already by me. Got somebody saying, when I bowl in a league on a house shot, what 3 to 4 balls are your current favorites? Well, I haven't bowled in a house shot league, in at least probably 15 years. No, seriously, I'm not bowling in a house shot league. I've subbed a few times, and I did a bowling this month thing where I bowled in like 5 different houses and wrote a little thing about it. But when I bowl house shot tournaments, I'm bringing my gold. My IQ Tour Pearl, that's definitely along. I usually have my wrecker with me. I have another ball that I really love when they're easy is a deranged. I have a low pin deranged because I can go real square to the oil line with that. And if they're super wet dry, I've got a sink with a VLS drilling that I can go square with. But I mean, basically, the first ball that's coming out of my bag is a gold. The bite's another ball that I like on house shots. But that IQ Tour gold is coming out, and now I've got the Fusion. Got that a pin in the palm Fusion, and boy, I can't say enough about that ball.
Bittenbender looking at 269, making the move down to 3 and 4.
That's one of the higher games this game. 246 there on 5 or 7 and 8.
$267 for Bittenbender.
Sikora's down on lane 1 right now, throwing a strike. So we'll see him in a game or 2 here.
Game number 5 coming to a close. 6 and 7 still to go in this B squad qualifying. C squad coming up right after this, 7 more games. It's about 4:15 here local time here in Waterloo, Iowa. We're at Maple Lanes. For the Fusion Realtors, Mike Flanagan, Jeff Richgels here in the booth with you.
Yeah, there's asking about the 281 game. Front 10, super washout 5 count, chop the head pin off. 10 bagger 5-1. Well, here's one I'd like your opinion on this, Mike. What is your opinion on limiting the number of balls during a tournament? What do you think of those kind of tournaments?
I'm kind of a radical person, so either bring them all or I want to limit you to 2.
Okay. I like gimmick tournaments. I like to bowl. I like the Peterson. I bowled this plastic ball tournament in Madison we have a lot. The 2 pattern tournaments I love. I have no problem if you want to do something and then limit it to 4 balls or something, or 2 or whatever. I don't care. That's fine. It's the same for everybody. But what I want you to do is you don't have to even post the pattern itself. Tell me how long it is, tell me the lane surface, and tell me how much volume of oil.
Yeah, it's important. I'll tell you the 2 things I'd like to do, but it screws up people's games too much, so we can't do it. One is I'd like to have a tournament where you can only throw conventional drilled bowling balls.
That'd be fun.
Okay. And then the other one is where we put out an absolute wall and you throw 12-pound bowling balls.
Oh, that would be fun.
But people's arm swings and everything would get completely screwed up.
When I was coming off my major reconstruction of my hand in 1989, I started with an 8-pounder, and I could bowl 1 game and barely get it down the lane. But it took me maybe a month or so, and I went up to, I had a 14, it was about 13 and a half pounds actually, and it was this green plastic ball. And this is 1989, so there wasn't resin then and there wasn't huge amounts of oil, so I wasn't at a super disadvantage. I shot like 740 or so in league one night with this 13 and a half pound ball, and it amazed me that I could strike that much with it. And it was one of the reasons I didn't have any qualms at all about going to 15 when I went from 16 to 15. I would go to 14 and not even bat an eye, especially as strong as balls are now. But throwing that green plastic thing, 13 and a half pounds, and I think it was 734 or something like that in league one night. It was amazing. That would be the funnest. But then everybody has to go out and find a 12-pound ball and drill it.
Well, yeah, but just think about,
it'd be so much fun.
Here we are at the whatever, and now here's Fagan with his 12-pound high road. Here's Bill O'Neill with his 12-pound Jet Taboo.
That would be a riot.
Here's Parker Bone with his Mastermind Genius 12-pounder.
That would be so awesome.
I mean, I really think that would just be it. And then the thing I'd like to do even more is make it a 12-pound bowling ball tournament and actually increase the weight of the pins.
Oh, jeez.
You know
what? You know who I'm going to call then is the spinners.
Oh, yeah.
From Asia. They don't care.
No.
They throw 11 or whatever. I bowled with them in the Grand Championship World Team Challenge Finals one year. That was amazing.
I always wanted to arrange a match between like Belmo and Oscu with 12-pound reactive
that
balls
would be so much
and like
fun.
8-pound pins.
That would be so much fun to see that.
Oh, it would be amazing. You're
just blowing my mind. You're thinking of what would happen.
Oh, it'd be fun. It would be so much fun. I'd actually like to make it a pay-per-view event to help fund another tournament.
That would be so much. You know what? If you did something like that and invited like the top 40 tour guys and held it like before the World Series or something, I bet you they'd line up to bowl that. Just because it would be so much fun to test themselves against that.
Oh, do you think a guy like Walter Ray would do well with something like that?
Well, see, that's the thing. Then you'd be sitting here thinking, then what's the advantage? The guy that can high flush it, be more accurate? Because Belmo's ball, I don't care how many revs he has. If he's coming in at an angle light and his 12 pounds against 4 pounds, his ball's deflecting.
Right.
I mean, there's no two ways about it.
Yeah, so would you want to have the whole tug it to the head pin and want to run over high flush and try to leave 4 pins and be Walter Ray?
I think so. I think you're going to want to be as high flush as you can. Or, the spinner thing where you get the light mixing. But you're not going to get the blower, right? I mean, you're not blowing pins around with a 12-pounder. You're not getting to the 5. I don't care how much anger you have.
Could Belmo's ball tip so hard down lane that he would leave like a 9-10?
Maybe. Well, and the thing is, isn't it hard to make the balls dynamic when they're that light? I think it's tough to make them dynamic.
I'd like to see Schlemmer and Dell try to actually tour rep these guys with 12-pounders.
Hey, we haven't been drinking at all either. All I've had today is soda and iced tea.
I just think I don't know why
awesome.
I like that so much.
That would be so much fun. Oh God, that's a great idea.
You know, and then there's another concept where you have a tournament where it's just a regular tournament, but on a tough condition, but 2 times a game you have to throw the ball opposite-handed.
Oh, I'm out then. I can't get 100
you get
left-handed.
you get to pick when you do it.
First frame, get it out of the way. Or wait to leave a split, throw it at the split.
Fill ball.
Fill ball. Yeah, that's true. Well, I'd get 0 then.
Splits, fill balls, whatever. Just make things very interesting.
I got one for you. They asked a couple more questions about the ball limits here. I don't think we need ball limits. I think this is another area where USBC needs a rule change to wake up a little bit. And to me, I think we need to make it so you can do anything you want to your bowling ball surface at any time during competition.
I agree. As long as it doesn't become a delay a game.
Yes, exactly. One of the things everybody talks about with ball limits is trying to limit the advantage of people who, 1, are on staffs or 2, are rich. And you don't need to limit the people who have access to the balls. You need to democratize the ability of the people who don't have all those balls to create the surfaces or the reactions without spending more money. And the simple thing is you can have a 4-ball arsenal and let me tune the surface at will during competition, and I don't need 12 bowling balls or 10 bowling balls. I can get by with 3 or 4 and tweak surfaces while I'm competing. And it's not going to be like it was in the 80s when people were using Scotch-Brite pads and shit was getting everywhere, pardon my French, all over the settee and that, because you're not going to do that to a bowling ball now. It would hook in your backswing. You're going to barely touch it with the pads to get a little surface, or shine it a little bit with maybe a little bit of stuff on a towel. You're not going to end up with a mess like proprietors worry about, and it would really level the economic playing field in bowling. And plus, then you wouldn't have to bring as many bowling balls.
I agree. What do you think about having a tournament where you oil the lane backwards, you oil from the pen deck forward?
We have the Peterson already. That would be a riot.
I mean, there'd be a lot of outer ranges, and the mechanic would complain.
Yeah, that would be an issue.
But
and I came up with one. Hey, Robert Murray, I bowled a charity thing in a little a little community, maybe a half hour from Madison, and we were bowling with the little tiny tots, and they were bumper bowling, and it was their fundraiser for their junior program. It was a fun day, and the kids were bowling off the bumper, so I came up with the idea after we were done with some of the adults, let's have a pot game with the bumpers. And they didn't have the hard bumpers. They had those, they're like rubber bands or whatever. So we bowled a pot game with bumpers. So you had to hit it off the bumper. If you didn't hit the bumper, you got 0. And then we had 2 frames during the game where you had to double bumper. So you had to make it hit 2 bumpers before it hit the pins. You get 0. Now that was fun. I want to bowl a tournament. Absolutely want to bowl a tournament that's a bumper bowling tournament.
yeah, the thing is, you could tear them up though. That's always one of the biggest concerns is tearing up the bumpers.
Yeah, I think that could happen.
You could do the inflatable ones, and then you got nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
How about this? Andy Mills, 39th place, -5.
Well, you're right about him today. You're not circling his name.
I don't know why. I just felt that way.
Well, I think one of the things Andy has here is his ball. He hooks it a lot, but his ball speed's pretty slow. And it seemed to me from what I saw is the guys with high revs that hooked it a lot but higher ball speed were doing better.
I also circled Drew Balta, and he sits 57th at -121.
Ooh, boy, that's surprising.
He's a damn good bowler.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that. Although, you know, a guy like Andy can be, this is 4 game totals, right? -5. I mean, he shoots 720 the last 3, and he's, you know, got enough.
Yeah, he's down on 1 and 2 right now. Heiligman's not setting the world on, or Heilman, I'm sorry.
Nick, yeah, that's.
He's +13 after
Wow.
4.
That pair has Matt, I never pronounce his name right, Matt Mislevich. So that's 3 of the guys from the team champs in Baton Rouge. And then the gal bowling with them is Megan Jerza. She's one of the up-and-coming female bowlers in Wisconsin. She bowls on their second team. She throws it very nice. Don't think this pattern is too good for her. She's a little more of a down and in player. But she's got a good, solid game. She's really been lighting things up in women's competition this year. Looks to me like the middle of the lane is definitely hooking more now than it was for us. But, of course, that's to be expected. There's a lot more revs on this squad. Oop, Susie Fever's back in the house. She's early. Oh, no, I told her 4:30, 4:45.
How do you feel about this sort of tournament? You ready for this one?
Okay, I'm loving what you're giving me so far.
All right, so it's sponsored by a particular ball company. Just for our own familiarity, we'll pick Storm. Okay. And basically what happens is you pay an entry fee of, let's just say, $300, and we send you a ball, and everybody's going to be sent the same ball. And we don't tell you what the ball is. You tell us your specs and everything, and we nail it perfectly. When you show up to the tournament, you're given that ball.
Everybody has the same ball.
Everybody has the same ball.
Are you drilling them the same for everyone? Like pins and all that?
We'd probably give you the option of pin up or pin down.
Okay.
And that would be the only option.
Okay.
And you get what you get.
Okay.
And you bowl the whole tournament with it. So you enter this tournament. There's added money from, let's just say it's the Storm Open, and you show up and everybody has a fusion. Okay, we wouldn't put like a sink in everyboad hand.
Okay.
That's too
extreme, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It would be, an IQ tour, fusion, high road pearl, high road, probably a symmetrical piece. Okay? And it wouldn't be like a breeze or anything. It'd be a master, thunder, probably a master line.
Okay.
I think a Marvel S would be good. And there's ball polishers available. They're all box. They come dull, and you can polish your ball.
So you can change their, okay.
Yeah. And then everybody uses the same ball. And that's it.
Well, I mean, that's kind of a takeoff on the standard ball thing that Kegel ran.
Yeah, but it would just be with an actual ball in the line.
Right, right.
So it still helps the ball companies.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting one.
But it's just a tournament. And when you're done with the tournament, maybe you turn in the bowling balls.
Okay.
Maybe you get to keep it. I don't know. I don't know what the benefit
And you got to
would be
shoot your
either way.
spares with the ball,
Yeah,
too.
everything. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, do it all.
I like that idea.
Yep, everything with it.
Now, one thing I've always thought would be interesting is a one-ball tournament where the bowling ball you used, and it would be sort of a takeoff on you because the person would have to, the company or whatever, sponsor, would have to produce them for them, is a no-weight block bowling ball tournament. I mean, obviously there's going to be weight, but no dynamics whatsoever. I mean, not even, basically it's static zeros and there's nothing tricky to the block. So any motion you're going to create is going to come off what you do completely. No holes, no nothing. Just you're drilling it over the grip center. And
what about this? You ready for are you familiar with how Kegel builds the patterns?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So most patterns start with a 2-2 and so on, right?
Yep.
All right. Here's your lane graph. Speed 14, 15 to 15, 30 loads.
Oh, jeez.
On the way down.
Okay. Oh.
On the way back, drop the brush at 42 feet, and it would oil 48 feet, by the way.
Oh, God.
Okay. On the way back, you drop the brush at 42 feet at speed 26. And you oil 17 to 17.
Oh, my.
And then you bowl.
And
So there's just a stripe from 15 to 15 with some hold at 17 to 17. It's a 2-board. And then there's no oil anywhere else on the lane. Nowhere else on the lane.
well, you better be able to throw it straight.
So plastic. Everybody'd
Yep.
have to throw plastic. But the idea would be that the stripe would be there the entire tournament.
Interesting. That would be fun. You know, we had a region. Did you ever hear the legend of the regional up in suburban Minneapolis in the late 80s?
I don't think so.
We had a doubles tournament. It was Labor Day weekend, a doubles tournament, and then a singles over Labor Day weekend. And I can't remember if it was the lane surface that was wrong or the machine was wrong, but they oiled the lanes, and unbeknownst to Rich Weber, it wasn't oiling like between 13 board and 13 board.
Okay.
Not just a little bit. There was literally no oil between 13 board on the right and 13 board on the left. I don't remember if the lanes were dished or the machine pad had something wrong with it.
Yeah.
And there was like a strip of oil. There was oil, some oil to the outside, and then there was a couple dry boards, and then there was oil like at 10, 11, 12 board. And then 13 to 13 on each side were bone dry. And I bowled with Mark McDowell, and we walked in, and I remember it was Randy Lightfoot, I believe. The first shot, he has a 3-bagger, and he takes the 7-pin off. and his ball like hit the lane and went, and this is before resin. It went like somebody kicked it over and takes, and he didn't really hardly, I mean, he kind of reacted a little bit, but not like, it wasn't like, oh my God, what happened? And I'm like, what the H is going on here? And it had turned out that that's what happened. The machine or whatever, it didn't oil the middle of the lane, and it was the strangest tournament you've ever seen, because you could like keep it in that strip and have a decent reaction, and then you'd miss a little bit in and it would go in the left gutter or almost. And you couldn't play in off the strip on the left because the middle was just too dry. It was the craziest tournament I ever bowled. Mark and I were the alternates and turned it down to watch a Packer game the next day or something. But I've never been happier in my life to not make the finals. Eugene McCune, the first game, had the front 10 and shot 280 something. He was bowling with Ralph Nickel. And Ralph, let's just say they barely got 400. And Eugene was just like ready to just kill Ralph. It was the funniest thing you've ever seen. Oh, it was one of the funnest tournaments I ever bowled. And, of course, after Rich did the first squad that way, he had to do the second squad that way. And then for the singles tournament, he altered the lane machine and oiled a normal pattern out. It must have been the lane machine or something that happened. But that was the strangest thing I ever saw in my life bowled on. An entire house like that.
I still wish someone would invent a touch lane.
I don't understand what's a touch lane.
A touch lane is a white lane with arrows, and as soon as you set the ball down, the ball touching the lane creates a ball path.
Ah.
And on the electronic scoring monitor, you can pick which ball tracks that you've currently thrown to have displayed on your next shot.
Interesting.
And each one is a different color. So it's used as a teaching device.
Interesting.
It allows you to see what the lanes are doing differently, and then while you're bowling in a tournament, you know, those stripes are there. And if you want to select other players and see where they're crossing, you can. So like if somebody bowled 300 on the pair, you could bring up every shot that they threw, and you could look to see how accurate they were, and the whole thing would memorize where it's going down the lane.
It's sort of like live cats, you know, like cats with not numbers, but like visual cats.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I like that.
Yeah, it would just light up. I mean, there's touch technology built in, and
Sure. Oh, that would be really neat.
yeah, and it's almost like the whole lane's like its own like projector type thing, to where, you know, if you're having a birthday party or something, every board could be a different color. Kids are bowling on it. You know what I mean?
I like that.
You could make outside of like 5 like blue like water. You know, like if you get it out there, it's going to slide off. Or it's
Sure.
going to drown. You know. So anyway, I think if they came out with a touch lane, basically a clear lane with lights underneath it, where it's normally just white, but then it would light up. Like, you know in the movie Big when he jumps around on the
on the piano.
on the keyboard and
The
it lights
keyboard.
up when he jumps on the key? Yeah, well, when the ball touches on the lane, it would light up.
Susie Fever needing some more walking around money,
Yeah.
otherwise known as putting it in money in the
Right.
slot machine.
Yeah. So we've been idea sharing up here in the booth, Jeff and I. You're watching game number 6 here at B Squad qualifying at the Fusion Realtors Open, brought to you by Storm the Bowlers Company, Waterloo Implement, Rydell Chevrolet, P&K Midwest John Deere, Kingpin Bar and Grill, Budweiser, Bud Light, the Isle Casino, and Waterloo Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Now these guys are. Susie didn't need this for any slot machine stuff.
Hey, we got to say goodbye to James Salisbury too. He's
Oh, yeah.
been in the chat blowing it up the whole time, and
Hey Jim.
he's getting ready to roll on out. But thanks for all your feedback.
We got these guys over here, Rob Amers and those guys, taking advantage of Sue. They're betting on shots and bowling shots out here.
Yeah.
So she wants money to bet with these guys. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's taking advantage.
Jeez. She doesn't care though. It's gambling.
Well, she has the opportunity to win some serious coin because she's gonna probably take the not normal,
Yeah.
and if odd things happen.
Yes, that's true.
Another fun concept to discuss would be where you bowl match play against people every round, kind of like the high roller or the tat type deal. But when you do that, every time you throw a strike, you get to apply 1 squirt with the oil Windex bottle onto the lane.
You got the sickest mind when it comes to bowling.
Anywhere you want to put the oil. And you got your lane and they have their lane. You don't switch lanes.
Okay.
So you strike and he doesn't. You then get to go over to his lane, or her lane, so to speak, and you get to take a Windex bottle full of oil and you get 1 squirt.
Now, can you go down like in front of the pins, or do you have to not foul?
No, you go down.
Oh boy. Oh, you can really.
You'd have to limit a line where they can't go past. 40 feet, past 40 feet.
Oh, it wouldn't take much to mess somebody up
Well,
if you know what you're doing.
sure. But if you're playing the middle of the lane and you're keeping your angle extremely tight, you're throwing plastic,
Yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean? And you didn't even let that stuff bother you.
You're a sick man.
You know.
We got 5 yet? A couple people asking if we got 5 game scores yet.
No, not yet. I don't think so. She's about to throw it up.
Yeah, I can see that because it's not showing up. So
Yeah.
she's putting it in now. So who do we got shooting 279 over here on 5 and 6? It's bowling with Rick Miller. I'm not.
Dave Axon and those guys.
Yeah, and Dave. I'm not familiar with that fella.
Alan Chauvin. Yeah, it's Alan Chauvin.
Oh, blower 7. Cat, boy, I'm vicious today.
So 258. Oh, here we go. We got scores.
All right.
Event information. B Squad Game 5. Casey Murphy plus 239. Jerry Sikora plus 199. Lenny Borish plus 182. Jason Wojnar plus 162. Cameron Smith 133. 10th place is Rangel at plus 120. He's tied with Coliani. 20th place 94.
There's my boy Brent Ritchie's up to 74 now, and Scott Erickson, a couple Madison guys were asking about scores there. 68 for Scotty. 20th, Rob Warren, 94 already. Yowza. going to need me some senior out of the money check here for walking around money.
Yeah, scores are pretty high. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
The only thing I mean, this is legit. I looked at the pattern. It's the 2-3 to 1. It shouldn't quote unquote play quite this easy. But brand new heads, I think that, I'd have to say that's the whole story here. Wish I would have known that.
Well, we could convince Joe to make it a re-entry tournament and run
No,
squads
no.
all night.
No. I'm bowling. I'm in a tournament tonight at the Isle. Dice throwing and beer drinking tournament. I've had enough. My body needs a break from snow blowing and snow shoveling.
Does your body lie over the ocean? Does it lie over the sea?
How much snow do you guys, now that you're out in Utah?
Yeah.
I know that the mountains get stupid amounts, but does Salt Lake City, is it like Reno where it doesn't get much while the mountains around are getting pounded?
No, you get quite a bit, especially where I'm at. What's up, man? What the hell's wrong with your score?
Well, I went 80 over the last two.
Oh, good.
Good God, where were you at?
To get to 30 under.
Whew. You dug a bigger hole than I did.
Well, I didn't hit the fresh very good.
Yeah. Really?
So the snow in Utah, you do get snow. I live in Ogden, and I live halfway up a mountain. Okay. So I get pelted fairly good. But I can tell you when I left, there was no more snow on my property.
Yeah, I saw that it was pretty warm recently out there.
But here's the crazy thing, right? Is I'm like the goofy neighbor that they know isn't from there. Because I have a 500 square foot deck. And when it first starts snowing, I go out with my leaf blower. And I blow all the snow off in increments, every hour or so. So I don't have to shovel my deck because it's that Trek decking and I don't want to shovel it and scratch it up. Right. Yep. So anyway, so that's one thing that I do. Then the other thing that I did the other day is, when you shovel your driveway, you create a big mound, and then it takes forever for that mound to go away.
Yeah.
So all my neighbors, including myself, had these big mounds. So I actually went out and shoveled when it was like 50 degrees out, shoveled the mound and just threw a bunch of snow all over my whole front yard. Woke up the next morning and all the snow was gone and all the neighbors had the big mounds. So if we do get hit again, which I'm sure we're gonna, now I don't have a mound that I have to pour it on top of.
Yeah, mine is up over the mailbox at the end of the driveways. You cannot, in Madison, you can't see at the corners at all. It's
really.
It is so high that you have to, every corner you just have to edge out real carefully. And back in the day when we had aerials on your cars, you would put like tennis balls or Nerf balls or something on the top of your aerial or tie a flag or something.
It's some of the hardest winters that I've heard of around here. But in Utah, it's not bad at all. It's like a piece of cake. I really, really enjoy living there. It's very, very nice. But I really, really miss some people that I bum around with and like my connections in St. Louis.
Yep,
I really miss those connections. And the sports teams. I mean, I missed the living crap out of the Cardinals and the Blues especially.
You'll be buying the packages, right?
Oh, got them all.
TV packages so you can watch what you want to watch.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, man, I'm a big TV junkie, and since I've moved there and I still got this Inside Bowling stuff and Storm, I don't have time.
I know exactly what you're saying.
And you probably feel it too, because like you'll send me messages and stuff where like before I would respond instantly, and it's like taking me a while to get back. It's kind of embarrassing, really, because I'd really like to be able to spend more time on it. I read them all, and I try to get back to everybody, but man, it's just brutal.
Stay under 66 so I can get a senior check. Huh? Stay under 66 so I can get a senior check. That's close, buddy. That's close.
Yeah, I hear you. Busy, 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 and you just get so overwhelmed. It's
I'll tell you the one thing, though, that I think I've done a pretty good job of is a lot of people think I'm like a brilliant mind in designing bowling balls.
oh, jeez.
Okay? And I really, that's something I've completely stayed out of, really. Like, I don't know RGs, I mean, any of this kind of stuff. I know this high differential, low differential stuff, and I know symmetrical, asymmetrical, and things like that. And I know covers a little bit, but people tag me on Facebook and say, I need help with this particular ball. How should I lay it out?
Yep.
Mike Flanagan. And I always say, look, you do not want me laying out your bowling ball.
Yep.
I mean, you really don't. We have like 12 people in the office that could lay out a bowling ball in their sleep for you. So I'm going to pass on that.
Yeah, people who really want serious help with me, I send them to Richter, Steve Richter, because he's a pro shop guy for years, a silver level coach. He's the guy I turn to if I'm not bugging somebody in Utah, and he knows this stuff inside out. He's helped so many people, and I know how to throw them, and I know what works for me, but I'm no tech guru myself to be able to, tell somebody else what they should throw. I mean, sometimes I can if I know a person's game, but I get these messages all the time. Hey, I want to drill a ball to hook down lane and hook real sharp on the back end, and they don't tell me their ball speed, whether they're right or left.
Right.
It's like, okay, you got to
Positive access point is so important.
Yep. All right. Hey, Jeff and Mike. This is Andrew Orff, and my dad wants to know if you remember who won the regional you were talking about earlier. He must be asking about the crazy one where the middle. I think it was Rowdy Morrow and Ron Williams.
Wow.
There's two St. Louis blast from the past names there.
Yeah, Ron Williams still runs a shop down in Texas.
Texas, right? Yeah, because he married a gal that was an executive with one of the airlines, I think, and was based in Dallas, and he moved down there and greatest crazy arm swing bowler in bowling history, I think. There have been some crazy ones, but I mean, look, come on, his arm went at a 90-degree angle sideways.
So I kind of want to have like a certain telecast. I want to have like a throwback telecast. Okay.
Okay.
Here's who I want on the telecast. Your top seed is going to be like Scott Devers.
Okay, the Dreamweaver.
Yeah.
But he had a straight swing. He just didn't have straight feet.
And I would have Ron Williams makes the show, without a doubt. Matt Wegan makes the show.
Oh, yeah, the ball whisperer. Okay. That's what I call him, the ball whisperer.
And then who else would make this show? The backwards bowler.
Oh, did you see the dude that supposedly shot the, I don't know if it was shot.
290 or something?
280. Broke the record by the other guy.
Yeah. That would be fun.
I still, I got a great Scott Devers story. I crossed with him one year in Tucson. And this is when I was on tour in the 80s. And the lanes were really tight. And if you don't know Scott Devers, good player, won multiple titles, lefty, really straight. And he bowled a 6-game block, and he did not, and I'm not lying, he did not miss the pocket one time in 6 games. And he shot 50-something over. He had, I couldn't even count the number of 7 9s and 5 7s, 5 10s, that sort of thing, and then just your basic garden variety weak 7s.
Right.
He did not miss the pocket in 6 games and shot like 50 over. And it was, I didn't even know what to say to him when I was done, because back then, the balls we're using rhinos, black rhinos or something like that, and they were so tight. And what are you supposed to do? You just couldn't. That was Scotty. I bowled with Chris Warren once in Oklahoma. He shot 60 over for a block without a 200 game. In 5 games under 200 and 300.
Well, while we're sitting here and we're getting ready to go into game number 7.
Are they?
Yeah.
No, wait, this is. Oh no, these guys are in 6, but these guys are starting 7.
Correct.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So as they go into game number 7, Mike Flanagan, Jeff Richgels here with you. 2014 Fusion Realtors Open. It's B Squad. It's catching up with each other time for Jeff and I now. And obviously we've got our scores up on the screen so you can pay attention to what guys are bowling and things like that. But a couple of more things I wanted to discuss with you. Hopefully everyone at home enjoys some of this talk that we're having here, some brainstorming on the air. Is at this edition of the StormInsideBowling.com Open, Randy Peterson is interested in learning and sharpening his skill set with some of the recent things that he's done with the PBA. He had to be in charge of the round table on that one TV show.
That was excellent.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
It was good. And Randy wants to try to dial in his play-by-play or more of a non-analyst role. Because he's really enjoying the broadcasting stuff.
He did great doing that with that panel.
So at this particular tournament, the Storm Inside Bowling Tournament, he is committed to come broadcast. He is not going to bowl the senior event that week. And he's allowed to broadcast. He just can't bowl my event. Okay. So the question I have for you is if he would like to do the play-by-play, what bowler should I get to come bowl the event and do the analyst, be the analyst with Randy if he did the play-by-play? I'd like to know your opinion.
Mike, I'm sure
I think Chris Barnes would be the guy I would say right away. Nothing against anybody else that has done that job. Along with Duke, I think Chris Barnes is the most intellectual bowler in the world. From what I know of stuff, I'm not out on tour, so I could be missing somebody that's way better. But just from interactions I've had with Chris on Facebook, private messages and that, and talking to him a little bit when I see him at tournaments, and just reading the articles he's in and the things he says on TV, that his mind is amazing when it comes to bowling. And when I listen to him on the show, every time I hear him, the favorite shows I had were the ones where he was the third guy in the booth with Randy and whoever was the play-by-play guy at the time. It's been a couple different guys over the years. I think him and Randy play together so well because Randy's a little,
Now Randy's going to have to be the straight-laced, the more of mentioning the sponsors and setting up the softballs for Barnes to hit out of the park. So,
but what I was going to say is, and I think Randy, in this case where they had the panel and you had Randy, he did a great job in bringing great stuff out of those guys. Unvarnished opinion, like the way Couch was about the two-handers.
Okay.
And I like listening to Chris Barnes analyze bowling, serious bowling. I would listen to him. If he was in that booth, take him anytime. I thought in that panel thing, a guy I had never heard before who was really good was Tommy Jones. I thought Tommy was excellent.
Okay.
But I just think Chris has a lot of experience doing that too, because he's done a lot of USBC stuff with Dave Lamont.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love Dave Lamont.
I love
by the way.
Dave.
He's a really nice
Yep.
guy. He's reached out to me a couple times.
Yep, me too. Had some good discussions with him.
All right, so I'm going to throw out a name, and then I'm going to have you throw out another, and I'll throw out another, and we'll wrap this up. Marshall Holman.
Oh, my favorite pairing as bowling on TV was Mike Durbin, Marshall Holman.
So what if it was Randy Peterson and Marshall Holman?
That would be interesting. The only thing I would have is how in touch is Marshall with bowling today?
I don't know.
Can he have, and one of the greatest bowlers of all time was not the intellectual bowler when he was on tour. He won because he was so friggin' good.
Right.
And
the
game's so technical, how much does he even know?
Well, if you watch the old ABC telecast, Bo would state the obvious with a fact here and there, or something made up here and there too sometimes. Like when Goebel and Duke bowled each other, Bo said, well, Norm Duke told me this. If you got the time, I got the money. If you got the money, I got the time. And Norm never said that. Okay.
He probably would, though.
Right. But he never said.
That's a Norm Duke philosophy.
Right,
I'll guarantee you
know
that.
So the question is, would Marshall Holman say, if Randy said, and now Marshall, why did that ball leave a washout? Well, Randy, he missed it at the bottom of the swing. Blah blah blah. That's really, if you listen to those old broadcasts, there's really a lot of dead silence, and there's really just delivered messages with emphasis on on the short message. But Marshall Holman was a thought I had.
Yeah, I thought he was great with Durbin because he was great at conveying sort of the thinking that goes into performing or not performing as he did. He really made you feel like he knew what the guy up there was thinking about. And I liked that kind of analysis because when Marshall was doing that, the game wasn't near as technical as it is now. And the reason that I like Barnes so much now is because the game is so technical and he's at the very top of conveying that.
Now, before I get to your next bowler, I will tell you something that I did attempt. But I don't think I can pull it off quite yet, but I think eventually I'll be able to. Is I wanted Joe Buck to work with Randy Peterson, and Joe Buck would be the play-by-play.
Yeah, how much would that cost you though? Or would Joe?
He would either do it for free or he wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? It would be from a friend.
Yeah, you can't possibly pay him what he's worth or what he costs.
Right.
He would have to do it as.
But imagine if Joe Buck worked with Randy Peterson.
Well, that would be interesting.
Okay, so tell me another bowler that would be good.
Well, I mean, I mentioned Tommy. I thought he was really good on that telecast. But I think that after watching that, the guy that really stood out to me that I thought, and I've known him for years, is Couch. What I loved about Couch is, okay, I hate two-handed bowling. He didn't try to sugarcoat it or any. He told, this is how I feel. And whether you disagree with him or not isn't the point. He was telling you, speaking from the heart and from all his years on, this is what he really believed, and he wasn't going to try and give you any BS about it. He was giving you the straight-on varnish, this is Jason Couch and what I believe. And I think that is the greatest thing you want in an analyst in any sport, is the guy who is going to be, even if he angers the players he's talking about, he's going to tell you the truth in what he believes. And he may be wrong from what you see, but he's you know that he's giving you what he really thinks, and that's what I look for when I'm watching football, baseball, basketball, bowling.
I have a suggestion coming in from a text message. Ryan Schaefer, another guy, tells it like it is. Yeah. So I'll tell you my other analyst to go with Sir Randy would be Norm Duke, because Norm, when he is interviewed, there's something that he possesses when he speaks that is really something that I really can't describe. And if you could imagine Randy and Norm bringing in the broadcast together and Randy throwing softballs to Norm, I think people would really listen to what Norm has to say.
Oh, yeah, because like I said, him and Barnes, I would say those are, from what I know, probably the two most intellectual bowlers.
So then you got to think of things from more of a political perspective as well. Is it's a Storm-sponsored event.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So how do I keep it in the family for the broadcast?
Schaefer's a great one. Is Schaefer going to stick to the bowling or start giving you the world according to Ryan Schaefer, which I think is fantastically entertaining?
That would be very interesting.
I mean, I could sit all day and listen to Ryan talk about bowling and talk about things. He's one of the most intelligent.
So let me ask you this. What if you had Schaefer and Peterson in the booth? Who would you want down on the lanes interviewing the next bowler that's up in the next match, like Petraglia used to do and Bo would do sometimes? Because I have a name. I have a strange, not a strange name, but a name that this is my personal favorite announcer that I've listened to in the last 2 years on Extra Frame.
Never say quit.
Boy, asking the questions.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now go ahead.
Patrick Allen.
Okay. Interesting.
He takes it very seriously when he sits in that booth.
Okay.
So if you had Randy and you had Ryan Schaefer and Patrick Allen as your sideline guy, that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I could see that.
So anyway, that's the thing I'm working on right now for that event. Problem is, if I invite Duke to come bowl the event, there's a really good chance he's going to make the top 5.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. The trouble is all the names we're listing, they're probably going to be bowling when it comes to the TV show.
Yes and no. I mean, Fagan entered 3 times and didn't make it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
You have to have a backup plan, though.
Oh, sure. Well, the backup plan is I do the play-by-play and Randy's color analyst.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true. There you go.
That's the backup.
What do you – the show where we had the panel, what would you think of that in a in a quote-unquote normal tournament?
I think it's pretty good.
Too busy?
I like that if in between matches or during commercial breaks or right out of a commercial break, a quick 30-second huddle up, ask a question back to the show is good. I would much rather when it goes to commercial break, I'd like for it to come back in almost like the NFL draft. So pretend like each match is a draft pick, and then they throw it back up, and then they discuss.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Because to me, that was sort of like, in a weird way, listening to maybe a golf telecast or something, where because they have teams of announcers everywhere, they can bring in so many different areas of expertise and different guys in to talk about any particular topic.
All right. So let's just brainstorm again. I've never thought about this, but now that you just said that, my mind went somewhere. What if you had one of the analysts in charge of the right lane, the second half of the lane, and someone on the left lane in charge of the second half of the lane, and that's all they're analyzing. So you would throw it to Jason Couch. What did you see down lane in that ball reaction on lane 15? Well, what I saw was that ball get into the spot and it just puked. Tommy Jones on the right lane, what did you see down lane motion out of that ball? Well, it didn't look like it was on its pin axis as well as it was the shot before. According to my barometer down here, this or this or you know what I mean? Kind of like when they're like, let's take it over to 14.
Yeah.
Jeff Richgels is standing by. And you could break it down that. I don't know how that would go. I was just thinking out loud.
I just that whole clash with those guys to me was so much more entertaining as a show, just to have the perspective of those superstars.
I'll tell you what, though, I got really sick of hearing these guys don't like each other.
Well,
if you go back and watch the show,
yeah, I know.
I think it's like 36 times that phrase is said.
And everyone knows that.
Right.
So you didn't need to belabor that point. That's true. That's why I was thinking, how would this work on a normal tournament telecast? Like I said, to me, the favorite booth I've listened to over the last 10 years or whatever is when Randy is with the color guy and Barnes sat in. Because I think Randy brings one thing that is really entertaining, and Barnes brings another thing that adds a lot in just the technical thing, and they work together so good. Every time I've heard them, those two together, with or without, with the color play-by-play guy every time, I've just loved it. Just loved it every time.
Well, if you really, really, really had it right, you'd have Pete Weber and Norm Duke available on a channel. Okay, you'd have them available to call in for certain situations.
Yeah.
Okay, so like if you wanted to focus on what the player should be thinking or how they're mentally feeling in that situation, you bring in Norm or you bring in Pete to deliver the analysis just on that particular thing.
I could see that.
Not ball motion, not how did they do at the bottom of the swing, but just a total mental outlook.
Yep.
To the point where, all right, Mika's going to start the match. Let's Pete Weber, what do you think about Mika starting the match? Well, Mika obviously wanted to start the match because he wants to finish the match. And some guys want to finish first and put the pressure on their opponent. That's what I like to do. But Mika's a little bit different, and he likes to perform, and that's why he chose to do that. Thank you very much, Pete. We'll hear from you later in the broadcast. Now, back into the booth, Chris Barnes, Randy Peterson, and whoever. I'd like to have those guys. And then I'd also like to have a guy like Mark Baker or something where if they need to analyze if something mechanically went wrong, you go to the mechanical expert and he says, well, to me, let's roll back the replay. Look at his second step here. Look at his second step here. Let's slow it down like a golf swing.
Yeah.
And notice at this particular time we're 0.3 seconds into the swing and we're already this much difference, and that caused the ball to be tugged 2 boards, causing the 4-9. When everybody else in the human eye, it looked fine.
See, it's been, along those lines, it's been my contention that one of the things bowling, the one thing that's never really been tried, is to try to make the telecast as technical as serious golf telecasts are. The blue oil is a step that way. And to have super deep analysis about everything. Okay, I mean, we've tried just about everything, and the audience is what it is. Maybe you try to show how complex bowling is and really play all that up, and maybe you'd all of a sudden get some interest from some people who'd go like, well, this isn't what I thought it was at all.
Right.
Taking the concept of that the blue oil brings and adding in the analysis of the games that Mark Baker, maybe best coach in the world right now, coach to the stars, that's for sure, and just have all this really that, like, they do it on golf all the time. And why is it okay for golf, but you can say, I can't do that for bowling?
Yeah.
Why not?
Hey, update after game number 6 up on your screen right now, down below on your tabs. Casey Murphy plus 294, Jerry Sikora plus 213, Jason Wojnar 204, Borish at 198, 5th place Steve Taylor at plus 185, 10th is Coliani plus 146, 20th position 97 over, Jonathan Shallow.
So it's going to be right in that. I said 75 to 100 originally, and later amended to say up to the high end of 100. Going to be right in that range, it looks like.
Yep.
My little guy told you to watch out for. Brent's up to 112.
Yep.
Got a long way to go with his game, but boy, he's made big strides. He's got the strike ball. He needs to learn how to think a little more on the lanes, be a little less emotional, reacting to shots, and be a better spare shooter. But what a strike ball.
We got the front 8 over here on 11 and 12 for Axon, but just totally jinxed that. 6 pin for him. I was about to move the camera.
Good cat.
About to move that camera.
Now, X is, he's almost 60. He's like 57. Senior tour, semi-regular. Dave and I are good buddies from Nebraska, and this is like the second tournament he's bowled in many months. He had a terrible pinched nerve or whatever in his neck and shoulder, and boy, he was out for a long time. Didn't have surgery, but was out for a really long time.
What about here in the chat talking about those broadcasts? What about Mike Albee?
Yeah, he's.
I don't know what he. I don't know his broadcasting skills so much. And we've had some Stu Williams requests as well.
He's entertaining.
He is entertaining. And I love Stu to death. I call him my second favorite bowler because he likes to give me trouble that I like Pete so much. But I don't believe he's taken seriously enough right now.
Yeah.
To where he fits that. If it was Chris Barnes and Stu Williams, okay. But because Randy's already kind of a cut up anyway, and Randy would be trying to take more of a serious role, I think Stu would try to bring more of that out of Randy. And when Randy's trying to do something that's out of his comfort zone already, so that's why.
That's why I think Randy and Chris do.
What do you think about Randy and Brian Voss?
Yeah, I could see that. I always had, the utmost respect for Brian as a great bowler, obviously, but he was always one of the guys, to me, was one of the smartest guys when I was on tour and then in the immediate years afterwards. He's kind of become an anti-what bowling's become guy. He's a, go back, reduce the ball technology type of guy. But fantastically smart mind about bowling, and he was always, I thought, had one of the better mental games and one of the better clutch bowlers of all time, and it would be interesting to see what he had to say in situations where, a guy needs a strike to win and that sort of thing. I don't think he ever really, it was interesting because he never really did any telecasting, and yet he was beefcake. I was like, I always thought when I was bowling, oh, he's going to be the Bo Burton someday. It seemed so natural to me, and yet it never happened.
All right, we've got a couple of frames left here. Mike Flanagan talking with Jeff Richgels, just kind of talking about some out-of-the-box ideas here. We've got none other than our tournament leader, Casey Murphy, here right in front of us. And what do you got there?
What's the, I told you, Jerry Sikora at the beginning of the...
Oh, yeah, in second.
Second. And he's bowling here with Rick Miller.
So I got 2 other topics I want to try to squeeze in here with you before we let you go and we finish up this squad. We are in Game 7 of 7. And I've been kicking around the idea of bringing back some sort of weekly show on a video platform.
Okay.
More like a 10 to 15 minute program, kind of like above180.com. And I was just thinking about just doing it out of my house, just probably calling it the Mike Flanagan Show or something like that. And I would like to bring guests on and topics that are just really interesting to me, more so than anything else, just because I'm going to be doing it in my own time. And I wanted to get your feedback on this. So, for instance, on this particular show, we talk about, this particular week, we're going to talk about really bad breaks in bowling. And we're gonna cover both ends of the spectrum. So with no further ado, I'll play a clip, and it'll be Schlegel and Peterson's situation.
That's the first one that came to mind for me.
All right, so joining us now is Ernie Schlegel, and Ernie comes on, and we do a little Skype session with him where we've got some video, and it would be post-produced. It would not be live.
Okay.
So I could make it look a little fancier.
Yep.
We talked to Ernie for just a couple of minutes. Quick questions. If he were to do that, if he were to have that moment again, does he regret anything the way that he acted? Would he do it the same way again? You know, does he get asked about it very often? Just really quick. You know, thank you. Randy comes on, gives his take. Okay.
That'd be great.
All right. And we play the clip. If Ernie said, yeah, I do regret it, actually, Randy could hear that.
I'm sure he doesn't.
He doesn't, but you never know. Maybe an epiphany came through, okay? So you cover that. And then you say, all right, now we're going to show you another clip. And it's Mika missing the 10-pin for Norm to win the U.S. Open.
Yep.
And you talk about how that happened and everything. And then you bring on Norm Duke. And you say, Norm, you behaved that day. You looked as torn up about it as Mika did. And you play the clip back and what he said and all that. And then Norm talks about that day and how he really felt about the whole thing. And then you bring Mika on, and you talk to Mika about how did you feel looking at that show back? Have you watched it back? And if you had, you see how Norm reacted. And by the way, what if he would have walked around and said, I'm the greatest in the world, and he put his arms up in the air and dove into the crowd and everything else? Would you feel differently about Norm Duke today than you do right now? And would that have made you feel different, or would you have felt different? And then basically say, well, there you go. We've had these 4 guests on today. Join me next week when we discuss where are they now. We'll have Ron Palumbi Jr. and John Mazza on next week. Have a good week.
That's 2 good ones.
Okay, so
Ron Williams and Rowdy Morrow.
So that's why I was wondering, first of all, do you think that the public would enjoy that, or it would be just too dated of things, and it's just interesting to me and not interesting to enough people? They're not relative topics.
No, I think they'd be great because one of the things about bowling is that the glory years are long ago. And anything that brings back the glory years, I think people are interested in.
So if you had Chris Schenkel's son on the show and discuss how much bowling meant to his dad.
Yeah, I think that kind of thing. I mean,
it'd all be post-produced, and you'd have to take clips of things that have happened and incorporate all that in. Even if it was my top 10 ABC telecasts, and I just go over it myself and I talk about them a little bit, maybe bring on a guest to talk about.
I think those things would be real popular because that's what everybody. Everybody can remember the days when it was a big thing and that sort of stuff, and we don't have a lot of that now.
Okay, and then the last thing I want to talk to you about here is I came up with this concept, okay, that has to do with bowling centers. And something that I think can help fix bowling. I believe this genuinely can really make a big impact on fixing bowling. Okay, and I don't mind sharing it. If somebody else does it, fine. But the 2 biggest things for a recreational person, if you and I went to the shopping mall and asked them their opinion of bowling, 2 major hurdles that we have to overcome to introducing new people to the game is rental shoes and house balls.
Yep.
Because the rental shoes are gross and disgusting.
I agree with that.
And a lot of times they're tied already multiple times. And then you got to put your hand into a ball that a whole bunch of other people that might have colds or whatever, or they're dirty.
I agree.
And they're not organized in any sort of fashion around the bowling center. And if it's really, really busy, you normally can't find one in the weight that you want, nonetheless the hole sizes that you want. So imagine if you focused your whole bowling center around the rental shoes and the house balls. And you actually had a house ball counter and the rental shoe counter, and they do nothing but hand out the balls and the shoes. And every pair of rental shoes at your bowling center is only rented once per day, and it has to go through an entire inspection process and wiped down and disinfected, and they have to sit for 24 hours before they can be rented again, and you promote that. Then another thing that you do with the house balls is you have 27 different types of spans and everything that you have, and in each weight. And you put your hand on an iPad, and it knows exactly what ball that you have. It's going to fit you the best. and you actually get handed it by the counter for that counter guy. There's Luster Kings back there. You're actually polishing the balls. You're keeping them in good shape. You're wiping them down just like when you go to the grocery store and you wipe it down with a sanitary wipe. All the balls there. They're watching the people, the young girls and guys wiping them down. So you have sanitary house balls. You have house balls in good shape. They're going to fit you better. And the rental shoes are only rented once per day, and they're disinfected, and they go through a process and a shoe brush and all that good stuff. And you base your bowling center around the house balls and the rental shoes.
You have an amazing mind that comes up with things. But I like both of those. The only thing I see that is labor-intensive, proprietor. If he can see that as, something that will get more of those people in his bowling center, then but you're going to have to sell it to him that it's going to make me money.
There's ideas that spoof off of that we don't have time for. Just one, for instance, trickle-down effect is when you go up to that house ball counter and you get that ball that fits you pretty good, you say, I can take care of your bowling and your food today if you let us drill a ball for you in the pro shop for $80. You get your own ball today.
Wow.
You never have to stick your hand in somebody else's ever again. We'll give you the whole thing for free. And then you have the most popular sizes already drilled in the pro shop and all the popular weights. And you just hand it to them right then and there. And you get $80. It costs you $20 for the ball or so, $30 for the ball, whatever it is, your cost. You make $50 off of that customer. Your idea on a busy weekend is to sell 60 to 70 bowling balls. And you don't measure their hands exact. You just get real close.
Well, I know there's places that stuff like that would work for sure. You go to like Fox Bowl and Wheaton.
It would be high-end.
Rich suburbs of Chicago, rich suburbs of Atlanta, rich suburbs of any city where people have disposable income and would be, they would see that as, oh, that's worth paying for. I don't have to have my, icky. The shoes, I think, is a huge issue. The balls I never thought of. I've always thought that rental shoes are a big issue for some people. I've heard people complain about that. Ooh, I don't want to. I'd rather wear my tennis shoes or something.
Yeah, just with the whole ball situation, though, I mean, imagine you can't even get all your fingers in a ball.
Yeah.
What kind of fun is that?
Yeah, well, trying to find a house ball, big, you just see people going, nah. A little more scientific process for that would be good.
Those are a couple ideas that I've been sitting around, messing around with that I can do nothing about. So sharing them with you, Jeff.
You've got so many, I couldn't even remember them all today. Some good ones, too. Yeah, you walk away for a few and the chat gets weird. I think it was pretty odd all the way through here. We covered it all. So they're finishing up here, just about done. Not too bad on the time. They're not going to be far behind today.
No, I think we're going to be okay. So we'll bring it into the booth. Jeff, great hanging out with you. We haven't had a chance to really hang out or chat too much recently, but it's getting to be your time of the year with Open Championships.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait. I'm going to sit in watching. I have a sub for League next Thursday night, so I'm going to watch the kickoff show and write about things. Richter has a really neat thing going. He's having an event with it where he's charging for people. They're going to have beer pizza. They're going to watch the shows. They're going to talk about the patterns. He's going to put them right into his machine, go out and let the people bowl on them. After he says, here's what I see, let's try this. Like an instant experience the patterns, bowl on them. And I see that as a template that a lot of places could do to make a little money and have an event that brings. Now, the problem is it's on a Thursday at 3 in the afternoon. People work. But to me, if you can make it work and you have some lanes available on a Thursday night, you maybe just 4 pairs.
It could be like the bowler's national holiday.
Yeah.
You just take that day off work, and you just plan to do this on that day before you go bowl that tournament.
Yeah, I can't wait, though. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're like, and then we start getting ready for, I guess May's not that far away. And just looking forward to seeing scores coming up from the Open Championships and who's bowling good, and some super new teams this year. You mentioned, some like Rob's team and some of them that have bowled together, but the team I posted on my Facebook page after I captured it, Matt Gazin and those guys have a team of the young guns.
Who is it? Do you know? Is Marshall on the team?
I think Marshall's on it, and Matt, and it's sick. It's like, I'm ready for the Senior Open Championships, guys like that. But, you never know. 3 games, we talked about it. Our team might have 5 more years, 5 more shots at it, maybe at some point.
I think you've got to have some veteran leadership.
Yeah.
There's been some young gun teams out there before. You got to have some veteran, crafty knowledge.
Yeah. We're never going to be phased. We know how to work together, and nothing that happens ever going to phase us. And we don't have any pressure about winning an Eagle because we got them. It's more relaxed for us now because, I mean, we don't have the expectations maybe we had 5-10 years ago, or the pressure. And so who knows? You never know what can happen.
If team events similar to this year, will you guys just start out trying to strike?
Yeah, we didn't do that. We did it all wrong last year. I don't think they're going to be like that this year. My feeling would be that they might do it. I have no inside knowledge.
I'm with you. I know what you're about to say.
They're going to reverse the 2 patterns.
Yeah.
To me, that makes more sense. They were too soft for team. I don't like that.
And too hard for singles and doubles.
Too hard for singles and doubles. And those 2 patterns reversed to me would have been perfect.
Yep.
And would have given us a much better. I would love to bowl on that minors pattern for team. That's up our alley.
Yeah.
We'd have a good shot again at that. But
yeah, I think they need to do something similar to that
yeah,
too.
I think to me the harder pattern should be team. And that's the most prestigious part of the tournament historically. Put the tougher one there. If you're going to have a little softer one, put it in minors.
Yep, I agree. All right, Bud. Well, that's going to wrap up our coverage for B Squad qualifying here. Jeff, thanks for being part of this one. Appreciate it. And we're staying where you are tonight, so maybe by the time I get done here, if you're having a good night, I'll be able to see you downstairs.
Or hear us. I guarantee you that 66 over is not making the cut unless something bizarre happens with C Squad, so I don't have to worry about bowling tomorrow. I'm going to have a good time tonight.
Maybe that squirt bottle thing we talked about could happen.
If I could sneak out there with a little invisible and go down in front of the pins on every pair, I might make the cut, but
yeah.
I don't see that. It looks like it's going to be a heck of a day tomorrow with some decent scores and some big action, so it should be fun for you and fun tonight. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So we'll be back with more coverage here. I think it's 6 o'clock is when we're supposed to come back. It'll probably be about 20 minutes after that or more. They got to oil the lanes. But for everybody here, thanks for watching, and thanks for being part of the Fusion Realtors here today. We'll see you in a little bit with C Squad coming up shortly.